Chapter 3499. At this moment, the Mahavairakana revered Buddha smiled as he held a flower in his hand and chanted mantras. Countless heavenly flowers fell from the main hall and countless heavenly maidens danced in the sky. There were also countless heavenly dragons cruising below the hall. The Buddha said, for the Bodhisattva's voice to the people of the world. When the great teachings are widely spread and the great teachings are performed, all are gathered in the Seven Treasures lecture hall in order. At the beginning, the Buddha's voice to the people of the world was heard. There was no one who did not happily understand what they had learned. Everyone gains according to their talents. There is a natural breeze in all directions, blowing the treasured tree to make 500 notes. At this moment, I am overjoyed beyond words. When the golden body finished speaking, the flowers withered and the heavenly maidens mourned. Even the thousands of heavenly dragons wailed and wept with joy. The revered Buddha's words are too wonderful for words. A pious voice sounded. Above the main hall that seemed to be void, thousands of Buddha's rays were produced. It was unknown how many Buddha's bodies that could not be seen clearly before appeared. Inside, an old man with a simple face put his palms together and said, "This Ananda Sutra is the sharpening of suffering. Anyone who can comprehend the samadhi within will be able to have a Buddha in his heart." Amitabha. Everyone in the main hall chanted the Buddha's name in unison. Their bodies emitted Buddha's rays at the same time. The Buddha's rays above the main hall welcomed the Buddha's rays of the golden body. The golden body of the revered Buddha was like the sun. Many of the golden bodies of the Buddha statues were not as bright as the stars in the night sky. The main hall that was originally a single Buddha suddenly became lively. Below the main hall, there were 4 ferocious and imposing Vajras standing in front of the main hall door. Each of them held a Buddha's treasure that was full of evil spirit. On both sides of the main hall, there were 500 arhats. These arhats were either sitting, lying down, standing, dancing, or shaking their heads. After the arhats, there were 3,000 Vajras. These Vajras had different faces and figures. There were even some who were of different species. After the Vajras, there were countless venerables and indigo Buddhas. These venerables and indigo Buddhas were all devout as they chanted the Heart Sutra with their palms together. Above the main hall, to the left of the Mahavairakana revered Buddha was a Buddha's body that was 90 feet tall. That Buddha's face looked miserable with thousands of wrinkles. The Buddha's rays were auspicious, just like the rebirth of the revered Buddhas. However, the Buddha's rays were mostly waning, with no signs of revival. Before this Buddha's body was an ancient lamp with dim light. Wasn't that Buddha's? As Buddha's Buddha, the Buddha's rays, the Buddha's Buddha's the Buddha's rays. Buddha's Buddha was Buddha was Buddha was Buddha. Buddha was Buddha. In front of the Mahavairakana world revered one, under the 9-grade lotus platform, there was a golden light of 80 feet around his left hand. However, the golden light was empty. Not to mention the golden body, there wasn't even a human figure. On the other hand, on the right side of the Mahavairakana world, a bodhisattva with a face full of unswerving determination radiated a Buddhist light that was 80 feet wide. However, if one took a closer look, the bodhisattva standing there with the staff in his hand was different from the Buddha Lord. Although the bodhisattva was a statue of great forbearance and great wish, the Buddha light around the bodhisattva flashed with traces of bloody light, filled with the aura of the netherworld. The bodhisattva's golden body was close to nothingness, with only a faint outline. The faint power of faith was generated vertically from the void, slowly filling the thin outline. Wasn't this bodhisattva the Namo Great Aspiration Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva who would never become a Buddha if hell wasn't empty? Now, the Namo Great Aspiration Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva's Dharma image closed his eyes and stood on the rightmost side of the Mahavairakana world revered one. The leftmost side of the Namo Great Aspiration Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva's Dharma image was also nothingness. After the quaint old man finished speaking, another Arhat taming dragon stood up. He put his palms together and bowed, asking, "Revered one's Dharma is boundless. Today, the Ananda Sutra has allowed me to comprehend a lot. The last time I heard Revered One explain the Ananda Sutra was 600 years ago. That day, Revered One only said that this sutra shouldn't be said too much. I wonder why Revered One suddenly began to talk about it today. Buddha said, the world doesn't hear of suffering, but happiness doesn't exist. People often think about difficulties, but if they don't experience happiness, then everything will prosper. My great thunderclap temple's bodhisattva has attained enlightenment for a long time. We live in comfort and have fewer worries. If I don't talk about the Ananda Sutra, what Dharma will I talk about? Once the Mahavairakana world Revered One spoke, the heavenly flowers fell in disorder, and the Buddha light was limitless. That Arhat taming dragon bowed and sat down. He closed his eyes and pondered. After the Arhats, there were those who had obtained the Dharma with smiles on their faces. There were also those who were puzzled and frowned. There were all kinds of expressions. At this moment, a heavenly king at the door of the hall called out in a deep voice, Revered One, wise Manjushri Bodhisattva has returned by decree. Announce. Joy appeared on the Mahavairakana world Revered One's face as he opened his mouth and said. Following the Revered One's words, the door of the hall opened, revealing the magnificent scene of thousands of lotuses in front of the hall. These lotuses were all blooming with 9-colored brilliance. Under the lotuses, there was a boundless green water. This green water didn't have any waves. Billions of golden inscriptions were hidden in this green water. Every drop of green water showed the birth and destruction of a small kiliacosm. When the bodhisattvas saw the door of the hall open, they were all delighted. They all said, Namo wise Manjushri Bodhisattva, as I heard, for a time, Buddha gave the tree to the Garden of Solitude in the Shiwei kingdom. Together with the 8,000 monks of Bhikkhu, Elder Sariputra, Mahakasyapa, and so on, were also, the chanting turned into thousands of golden lotuses that flew out from the hall and entered one of the lotuses. That lotus suddenly grew bigger. When it rose to the height of 80 feet, Manjushri Bodhisattva's golden body appeared. A Buddha cloud appeared under his feet and carried the 80 feet golden body into the hall. Manjushri Bodhisattva entered the hall. He put his palms together and bowed, Amitba, disciple Manjushri greets the Revered One. After 9 lifetimes of training, you have finally achieved enlightenment. From now on, you will not enter the cycle of reincarnation and fall into the mortal world. Your golden body is clean and your Buddha heart is stable. You will no longer have any fate with the mortal world. I congratulate you. Mahavairakana world Revered One said with a smile. Thank you, Revered One. Manjushri Bodhisattva bowed respectfully. Manjushri, before you return to your position, I have to remind you. Mahavairakana world Revered One said again, I think you already know when you are in the Lotus Platform realm. My Buddhism sect has 9 transformations of the golden body. You are only at the first level now. If you want to live as long as the heavens and become immortal, you have to go through 9 transformations before you can complete it. Moreover, your cultivation of Buddhism is still shallow. You are still far from being accepted into the Buddhist kingdom. You cannot be arrogant and remain stagnant. Thank you, Revered One. I understand. Manjushri Bodhisattva nodded and said. Mahavairakana world Revered One was very happy and said, since that's the case, Manjushri Bodhisattva, return to your position. More than half of the 4 bodhisattvas in front of me have returned to their positions. Hearing that, Manjushri Bodhisattva's face turned solemn. He walked toward the flashing golden light on the left of Mahavairakana world Revered One. When his golden body merged with the golden light, the Buddha light behind his head shone brightly. It went straight to the top of the hall. When the Buddha light condensed, thousands of feet of Buddha light filled the entire hall. Thousands of power of faith came from the void and fell into his golden body. No matter if it was the heavenly flower, the heavenly lady, or the heavenly dragon, they all came to congratulate him. Namo great wisdom Manjushri Bodhisattva, Namo great wisdom Manjushri Bodhisattva. The sound of chanting came from all over the hall. Good. Mahavairakana world Revered One was very happy. When he was about to say something, suddenly, under his right hand, the gap between Manjushri Bodhisattva and Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva suddenly flashed with brilliance. The Buddha light that was a few times stronger than Manjushri Bodhisattva's instantly appeared. In a moment, it formed an 8-foot shadow. Even Mahavairakana world-revered one was surprised. Congratulations, world-revered one. The Dipankara archaic Buddha on the left smiled. First, Namo Great Wisdom Manjushri Bodhisattva has returned. Now, Namo Great Wisdom Manjushri Bodhisattva has returned. Our blessed land world's Buddha light shines upon all. Congratulations, world-revered one. All the Buddhas congratulated him in unison. However, the joy on Mahavairakana world-revered one's face wasn't what they had imagined. Seeing this, the Dipankara archaic Buddha smiled. World-revered one, Manjushri Bodhisattva has returned. Our Thunder Sound Temple had a Bodhisattva Buddha fruit, which is our blessed land world's merit. When Samantabhadra Bodhisattva returned, our Thunder Sound Temple didn't have any Buddha signs. So, the Buddha Kingdom's Buddha child's 9 transformations golden body should have returned, right? Dipankara archaic Buddha. Mahavairakana world-revered one pondered for a moment and said in a low voice, have you received any message from the Buddha Kingdom's main body? Dipankara archaic Buddha shook his head slightly and didn't say anything. There are so many accidents. I'm afraid there's a problem. A miserable expression appeared on Mahavairakana world-revered one's face. Amitba. There will always be accidents. If there weren't any accidents, the 3 continents would have already fallen into our hands. Dipankara archaic Buddha didn't care at all and answered with a smile. At this moment, many Buddhas at the side of the main hall also had strange expressions on their faces. After all, no matter which Buddhas wanted to attain fruition, they would only come to the Thunder Sound Temple because of Mahavairakana world-revered one's request, and the Heavenly King went to receive them. How could they appear out of nowhere like this? World-revered one, the golden lotus in the receiving pond is shining. I'm afraid that Samantabhadra Bodhisattva has arrived. The Heavenly King in front of the hall's door hurriedly reported. Announce. Mahavairakana world-revered one sighed in his heart and said. At the same time, with the Buddhist oracle, the door of the main hall slowly opened. In the lotus pond where Manjushri had walked out, the Buddhist light shone brightly again. One of the lotuses was lifted high, and it was dozens of feet higher than the other lotuses. An extremely strong Buddhist light fell vertically from the sky and covered the lotuses. In the Buddhist light, the lotuses suddenly expanded to more than 8 feet. Different from when Manjushri had appeared, the lotuses shrank rapidly after reaching 8 feet and expanded again. After 3 times, the Buddhist light disappeared and the lotuses bloomed. A bodhisattva wearing a 5 Buddha golden crown and a cassock walked out of the lotuses. The bodhisattva held a rui scepter in his left hand and looked solemn. When he came out of the lotuses, he didn't enter the main hall like Manjushri. Instead, he put his palms together and bowed, saying, Disciple Samantabhadra greets the world-revered one. Chapter 3500. Samantabhadra, you are the 3rd transformation golden body. Now, enter the lotus pond and rebuild your body. Mahavairakana said. Sure enough, after the light of Buddha disappeared, only a faint outline was left on Samantabhadra's golden body. Not to mention the lotus seat, even the entire golden body was made of lines. Disciple obeys Venerable One's order. Samantabhadra lowered his head and said, not daring to refute. His body slowly sank into the pool of green water under the lotus. Gugugugu. As Samantabhadra Bodhisattva's golden body soaked into the lotus cleansing pond, bubbles appeared in the green water. Hundreds of millions of small kiliacosms emerged from the bubbles and rushed into Samantabhadra Bodhisattva's golden body. At the same time, the golden inscriptions in the green water gathered on Samantabhadra Bodhisattva's golden body. Layers of Buddhist light appeared from the golden body. The heavenly flowers and fairies appeared again, dancing around the lotus cleansing pond with thousands of Sanskrit chants. Samantabhadra Bodhisattva only flew out of the lotus cleansing pool after a few minutes. Rumble. The sound was like thunder. The power of faith that flowed like water was born from the void and poured into Samantabhadra Bodhisattva's golden body. Behind the golden body, the Buddha's light was shining brightly. At this time, Samantabhadra's golden body had condensed, especially under Samantabhadra's feet. 8 lotus seats appeared out of thin air, carrying Samantabhadra into the main hall of Layin Temple. After paying his respects to Mahavarakana, Samantabhadra followed Buddha's order and ascended to the Namo Great Movement Samantabhadra's position on the right hand of the Buddha Lord. Immediately, the whole hall was filled with sounds of chanting. At this time, Samantabhadra Mahasattva is in front of Tathagata, sitting on the lotus seat of Shitsi, receiving the power of Buddha and entering Samantabhadra. The name of this samadhi is, all Buddhas Vairocana Tathagata are hiding within, and all Buddhas are equal, and can be shown to the public in the Dharma realm, vast and unhindered, the same as the void, the Dharma realm sea vortex, nothing can enter, born from all samadhi, it can include all Dharma realms, the wisdom of all Buddhas of the 3 eras are born from this, and all Buddhas of the 10 directions can be shown. In a dust, there is the world sees dust, and in a flash, there is the world sees dust, and in front of a Buddha, there is the world sees dust, and in front of a Buddha, there is the world sees dust, and in front of a Buddha, there is the world sees dust, and Samantabhadra. When the Bodhisattvas finished chanting, the entire thunder sound temple shone brightly with Buddhist light. The Bodhisattvas' Buddhist light shot up to the sky and formed their own Dharma images. The entire thunder sound temple's main hall was filled with countless strange phenomena. Congratulations, revered one of the world. After a while, Fuhu Luohan clasped his palms together. Although he was congratulating them, the sorrow on his face did not lessen. 2 out of the 3 bodhisattvas of the Layin Temple have returned in one day. That Namo Merciful Guanyin Bodhisattva almost attained fruition earlier. Given enough time, he will definitely return to the Buddha. Amitba, Fuhu Luohan is right. Dipankara nodded. If it wasn't for Mahavarakana revered one of the world's teachings, how could the Pure Land world's fate with Buddhism flourish? How could the Buddhist light of the Buddhism sect illuminate the 3 continents? Even Samantabhadra Bodhisattva was attracted by the Buddhist light of the Pure Land world. That's why he chose to undergo the Golden Body 3rd stage here. Amitba, revered one of the world's merits are boundless. All the Bodhisattvas chanted. Fuhu Luohan also said, according to my thoughts, that Namo Merciful Guanyin Bodhisattva is now cultivating in the hidden immortal continent. When the time is right, he will definitely attain fruition. Think about it, the hidden immortal continent, which is controlled by the Confucian cultivators, actually has 3 bodhisattvas attaining fruition. What a huge insult to the Confucian cultivators. After Fuhu Luohan finished speaking, all the bodhisattvas started whispering to each other. Every bodhisattva's face was filled with excitement. Samantabhadra Bodhisattva seemed to have just condensed his golden body in the Pure Land world. He didn't understand what everyone was talking about. He glanced at the empty seat to the right of Mahavarakana revered one of the world and frowned slightly. He whispered, revered one of the world, is there still no news of Namo Dang Lai Shing Maitreya? According to what I know, the future Buddha Lord has already descended to the 3 continents. However, where he is and how he cultivates are still a mystery. Mahavarakana revered one of the world's whispers replied. Namo Dang Lai Shing Maitreya. Samantabhadra Bodhisattva chanted the name of Buddha. He pondered for a while and whispered, revered one of the world's Pure Land world, I'm willing to make a great vow. I'll use the power of this world to search for Maitreya's whereabouts. I'll ask the future Buddha Lord to ascend to the Thunder Temple and become the Buddha Lord. Good. Mahavarakana revered one of the world smiled. It's good that you have such a great vow. After a little rest and familiarize yourself with the situation of the 3 continents, you'll complete your merit. As you wish, revered one of the world's Buddhas. Samantabhadra Bodhisattva was overjoyed. He put his palms together and thanked him. Before Mahavarakana revered one of the world's Buddhas wanted to say something, his solemn expression, which had never frowned for thousands of years, suddenly moved slightly. Immediately, a hint of surprise flashed through his eyes. The Buddha light behind his golden body soared into the sky like flames. The Buddha seal with one hand pointing to the sky and the other pointing to the ground also moved at the same time. Revered one of the world? Not only were the Buddhas surprised, even the Dipankara archaic Buddha was shocked. He asked curiously, "Is there any Buddha sign?" The Buddha light surrounding the Mahavairakana revered one of the world's Buddhas was as bright as the sun. It spun rapidly for a long time before it slowly came to a stop. He slowly opened his slightly closed eyes and looked at a certain place in the Pure Land world. He whispered, "Ananda has returned." Good. Dipankara archaic Buddha clapped his hands and said, "There are so many good things happening in the Pure Land world today. Even Ananda's 9th reincarnation has descended into the Pure Land world. Congratulations, revered one of the world." Sigh, what's there to be happy about? The Mahavairakana revered one of the world's Buddhas smiled bitterly. Ananda insisted on walking his own path, which has already deviated from the Buddha's principles. Even with my ability, I can't see where he is. Revered one of the world, since Ananda has descended into our Pure Land world, how can he escape from our Buddha's hands? The Dipankara archaic Buddha smiled slightly. Then, he waved his hand and said, "Today's preaching has ended. All Buddhas, step down." "Yes, Buddha." All the Buddhas replied in unison and slowly disappeared. "Manjushri Bodhisattva, please wait." The Dipankara archaic Buddha suddenly said. "Yes, revered one." The Manjushri Bodhisattva immediately stopped his disappearing golden body and answered. The Mahavairakana revered one of the world's Buddhas didn't understand what the Dipankara archaic Buddha was talking about. After all the Buddhas left, he asked curiously, "Dipankara archaic Buddha, what are you doing?" "I'm also responsible for Ananda's matter." The Dipankara archaic Buddha smiled and said, "That day, it was the revered one's preaching. I spoke too much and caused Ananda's doubts. Therefore, I want to make up for my mistake that day." "How do you want to make up for it?" The Manjushri Bodhisattva was curious. Did the revered one start comprehending the Mahayana Buddhism 10,000 years ago? Have you attained great mastery? The Dipankara archaic Buddha asked with a smile. Naturally, it has already attained great mastery. The Mahavairakana revered one nodded and said, "This Buddhism has already been recorded into the Tripitaka Buddhist scripture, which is kept in the scripture repository. The Mahayana Buddhism has yet to be preached by the revered one. I'm afraid you have some reservations about it?" The Dipankara archaic Buddha asked calmly. "Indeed." The Mahavairakana revered one nodded. Although the Hinayana Buddhism has many flaws, it's stable and steady. As for the Mahayana Buddhism, it fixes the flaws of the Hinayana Buddhism. However, it's a little too eager for quick success and deviates from my Buddhist scripture. Revered one, Buddhism sees the world through Buddha's eyes. It presents the great thousand worlds and small thousand worlds to the human eye. There are no flaws or flaws. The only flaw and flaw is the human eye. The Dipankara archaic Buddha smiled and said, "The revered one is too benevolent. It's too difficult to achieve perfection. Yes, if that's the case, I'll preach the Mahayana Tripitaka scripture to all the Buddhas." The Mahavairakana revered one nodded. However, the Mahavairakana revered one was surprised. He looked at the Manjushri Bodhisattva and smiled. "Dipankara archaic Buddha, do you want me to preach the Manjushri Bodhisattva first?" That's not necessary." The Dipankara archaic Buddha shook his head and said, "Since the Mahayana Buddhism of the revered one is to be preached, it must be spread to the blessed lands." What about the hidden immortal continent? What about the 1,000 demons sacred realm? This disciple isn't talented, but I'm willing to make a great wish. The Manjushri Bodhisattva immediately realized and hurriedly bowed. The Dipankara archaic Buddha waved his hand and said, "You've already attained enlightenment. Don't snatch any more merit." This disciple. The Manjushri Bodhisattva was stunned. The Mahavairakana revered one was enlightened and nodded slightly. Namo Wisdom Manjushri Bodhisattva, the Mahavairakana revered one remained silent for a while and said, "This disciple is here." The Manjushri Bodhisattva put his palms together and said, "I have the Mahayana Tripitaka scripture, and I want to preach it to the hidden immortal continent. However, this scripture is precious. If I preach it casually, people will definitely look down on it. The Mahavarakana revered one said word by word, "You need to search the entire blessed lands for someone who can preach the scripture. Ask him to come to my Thunder Sound Temple to obtain the scripture. This person bears the heavy responsibility of obtaining the scripture. If he succeeds, he will receive billions of merit. If you attain enlightenment, you will also receive 100,000 merit as the Manjushri Bodhisattva." This disciple obeys the revered one. The Manjushri Bodhisattva was really confused. He really didn't understand why the Mahavarakana revered one would suddenly give him such a Buddhist decree. "You can go now." Before the Manjushri Bodhisattva asked any more questions, he said, "After I figure it out, I'll preach the Buddhist decree the next time I preach." Yes, this disciple understands. The Manjushri Bodhisattva hurriedly bowed. However, when he stood up, the Mahavarakana revered one's golden body had already disappeared. In front of him was the Dipankara archaic Buddha who was smiling at him. Dipankara archaic Buddha. The Manjushri Bodhisattva's heart skipped a beat. He hurriedly smiled and said, "Please teach me." The Dipankara archaic Buddha smiled slightly. His mouth moved as if he didn't say anything. However, the Manjushri Bodhisattva heard it clearly. It was the Dipankara archaic Buddha's heart connection. This heart connection only had 3 words, Ananda. Amitba. The Manjushri Bodhisattva smiled slightly. When he turned around, his golden body slowly disappeared. The Dipankara archaic Buddha looked at the empty Thunderclap Temple's great hall, then at the Maitreya Buddha's empty seat. He let out a slight sigh and muttered, "Sigh, another sutra seeking." Just as the Buddha light was about to disappear, a calm voice resounded, "Dipankara archaic Buddha, what do you mean by that? Does the revered one not know?" The Dipankara archaic Buddha smiled faintly. "When I was in my 4th life, the revered one was in his 3rd life. Wasn't it the so-called Great Tang Empire? That eastern victory proud comes to the divine lands, a stone monkey." The Dipankara archaic Buddha's words were like flowing water. However, his words revealed the secrets of Buddhism. Chapter 35:01. Xiaohua naturally didn't know that it was the powerful Mahavarakana revered one's thoughts that made him vigilant and said that he had entered the space. He stood in the void with a frown and opened his delusion breaker Dharma eye to carefully examine his surroundings. Similar to what he thought, although the nearby space had already begun to collapse, it hadn't completely collapsed. If Xiaohua insisted on entering, the chances of finding a way to return to the hidden immortal continent were still very high. Xiaohua closed his Dharma eye and released his Buddhist sense and divine sense. After exploring for a moment, he made a decision in his heart. Lightning flashed around Xiaohua's body. He used his most proficient lightning escape technique and rushed into the depths of the space. When he used the lightning escape technique, Xiaohua was delighted. Ever since he formed his nascent soul in the void, he had always been pretending to be a monk in the pure land of ultimate bliss. He had never truly used the imperial lightning escape technique. Even in the profound water palace, he had only used it for a little while and didn't see much progress. Today, when he used the heaven and earth escape technique, his speed immediately soared. The lightning around his body overflowed like water and wrapped around Xiaohua's entire body. Moreover, the lightning seemed to have left Xiaohua's body, making him feel as if he had a pair of wings on his back. Wonderful. Thunder tranquility, thunder movement, and even thunder ascension. At this moment, this Xiao has reached the limit of thunder movement. I estimate that it won't take long for me to enter the thunder ascension realm. Lightning travel 3 realms, you really don't know how arrogant you are. Xiaohua clapped his hands and laughed. He knew in his heart that after he became a nascent soul, the inner cores of the male and female lightning beasts merged into his nascent soul. His nascent soul could control heavenly lightning as if it was at its fingertips. It was inevitable that his lightning escape technique would make great progress. The joy of the lightning escape technique's improvement was still small. Xiaohua was the happiest when he flew leisurely in the void that was close to the space. Previously, Xiaohua already knew that his sense of direction in the void was unparalleled. However, when he entered the void again, he truly understood his own ability. Having this sense of direction in the void gave him a greater sense of accomplishment than any other kind of sacred art he cultivated. This was the only innate ability that Xiao Hua had discovered so far. Every time he flew into a void passage and saw that it had collapsed, he would immediately retreat without hesitation. Looking at the choices of 3 or 4 forks in front of him, he didn't need to think at all. Just by looking at these forks with his naked eye, he could immediately determine which one he could take, which one might take him around, and which one was the closest. Of course, because the spatial network was collapsing one after another, Xiao Hua's judgment of the integrity of the passage might be wrong. However, he had never failed to use tricks like taking a detour or taking a shortcut. Xiao Hua didn't know if it was because the spatial network had collapsed for a long time, or if it was because of Xiao Hua's instincts, but after flying for several days, he didn't encounter any special danger. The strange insect didn't appear, the strange flame didn't appear, and the ordinary spatial collapse basically couldn't do anything to Xiao Hua. On this day, just as Xiao Hua was feeling immensely proud of himself, his tail wagging in the air, he suddenly stopped, slapped his own forehead, and said with a smile, "Damn it, it's true that people are in high spirits when encountering happy events, but even if it's high spirits, it can't neglect proper business. Although this place is a spatial network and can't be considered as the true void, but now that I've reached the depths of the spatial network, it should be about the same as the void, right? Xian mentioned the secret of Heaven's heart, I should be able to check it out right here, right?" Thinking of this, Xiao Hua waved his hand, and the broken tortoise shell that G-Man from Meng Mountain's back earth stockade immediately appeared in the void. As soon as the tortoise shell entered the void, it immediately flashed with a 5-colored brilliance, and that brilliance was like an oval-shaped halo emerging from the tortoise shell. As the halo emerged, a dark green heart-shaped object flew out from the tortoise shell, and at the same time, the tortoise shell immediately turned into a dark green scroll. It can be like this? Xian didn't deceive me. Xiao Hua was very excited and overjoyed, but he didn't dare to be careless. He slapped his own forehead, and a golden and crimson brilliance rushed out, and the other 2 heaven's hearts appeared. The dark green heaven's heart was attracted by these 2 brilliances, and cheerfully flew into it. These 3 heaven's hearts spun in the air, as if they hadn't seen each other for a long time, and even the 3 brilliances flickered rapidly, and then the 3 heaven's hearts disappeared into Xiao Hua's forehead. After collecting the 3rd heaven's heart, Xiao Hua took out the tortoise shell that Xian gave him and the tortoise shell that he obtained. Sure enough, the 3 tortoise shells all emitted a 5-colored brilliance. Xian's tortoise shell turned into a golden scroll, and Xiao Hua's tortoise shell turned into a crimson scroll. In particular, the brilliance of these 3 scrolls attracted each other, and the 5-colored halo of the 3 scrolls slowly rotated, gradually overlapping, and the 3 scrolls also flew together, fusing into a 3-colored scroll. Isn't this the so-called heavenly scroll? Xiao Hua was overjoyed. Xian didn't mention this before. However, Xiao Hua didn't care at this time, and with a grab of his hand, the 3-colored scroll fell into his hand. However, when Xiao Hua flipped through the book, a strange expression appeared on his face again. This was because the scroll was completely blank. Not to mention the inscriptions he was looking for, there wasn't even a single ordinary word. It was like a wordless heavenly scroll. Damn it! Xiao Hua immediately understood why Xian didn't say anything. He could even guess the gloating expression on Xian's face when she found out that he had opened the heavenly scroll in the void. Yes, Xian had this heavenly scroll for who knows how long. Looking at the things that Xian prepared to enter the profound water palace, it was clear that Xian's scholarly family's background was very deep. Even Xian, who had such a background, was helpless against this wordless heavenly scroll, so how could Xiao Hua see through it? No wonder this guy was so generous. Xiao Hua secretly curled his lips, so this thing is a piece of trash. With that thought in mind, Xiao Hua released his divine sense, Buddhist awareness, and soul awareness in succession, but they were all to no avail. In the end, he opened his delirium dharma eye, but unfortunately, all he saw was a tortoise shell. He couldn't even see the heavenly scripture, let alone the words. Forget it. I'm afraid the opportunity hasn't come yet. Xiao Hua shrugged and prepared to send the heavenly scroll into the space. However, the moment he raised his hand, Xiao Hua's heart skipped a beat. A trace of a smile appeared on his face, and then he closed his eyes. The nascent soul in his lower dantian emerged from the top of his head. The nascent soul entered the void and immediately revealed itself. This guy actually stood on top of Xiao Hua's head and stretched lazily. He opened his small mouth and yawned as if he had finally arrived home. Then, with a wave of his small hand, the heavenly scroll fell into his hand. Ha ha ha. When the nascent soul's gaze fell on the three-colored heavenly scroll, he let out a burst of wild laughter. That laughter was extremely lewd. Little Xian. You are very wrong. The nascent soul laughed and shouted, you think that if you can't see it, others can't see it? This Xiao's naked eyes and Dharma eyes can't see it, but this nascent soul can. 5 Qis unifications. This is the true cultivation method of 5 Qis unifications. Rumble. Just as Xiao Hua was laughing wildly, a thunderous sound could be heard coming from the void within 300 meters. The grayish-white color was like 10,000 snakes dancing wildly, and the entire void passage was rapidly collapsing. Damn it, it must be Xian's resentment. Xiao Hua didn't dare to be negligent. He hurriedly let his nascent soul return and urged his flying technique to rush forward. Of course, the stingy Xiao Hua wouldn't let go of this rare opportunity in the void. He called out the green-robed Xiao Hua again and let him control his nascent soul and lie on top of his head to read the wordless heavenly scroll. The Black Cloud Ridge was still the same Black Cloud Ridge. The thick mist of the Black Cloud family's patriarch lingered around the mountain ridge. There were still a few merchants passing through the area, trembling in fear. These merchants were surrounded by bodyguards. Similarly, these bodyguards were also extremely vigilant. They held weapons in their hands and were ready to fight at any moment. These merchants also had no choice. Some goods could be taken a detour, some goods were urgent, and the money they could earn was also great. It was worth the risk. However, their worries became a joke at this time. This was because no matter if it was Black Wind Ridge, Mo Cloud Ridge, or Lion Rock, the demons of these 3 factions had no time to pay attention to them because they were all gathered in the depths of Black Wind Ridge. In the depths of the Black Wind Ridge that was covered by the black clouds, there was a mountain ridge that was 1,000 feet in size. Thousands of birds were densely packed in the sky. These birds had different appearances. Some were eagles, some were condors, and some were hawks, kites, vultures, harriers, ospreys, falcons, owls, and many more. However, all of them had large bodies and were abnormally ferocious. As their wings flapped, they blew away the black clouds and even blocked the sunlight in the sky. Looking at the ground, there were also all kinds of ferocious beasts. Some were tigers, some were leopards, some were lions, some were wolves, some were elephants, and some were rhinoceroses. Some of these ferocious beasts were in human form while others were in beast form. However, each of them held a weapon in their hands and were lined up in a neat formation. Although some of the ferocious beasts were roaring, even more ferocious beasts were waiting for orders in an extremely orderly manner. In front of the birds in the sky, a golden eagle that was 100 feet in size stood lazily in the air. This eagle's body was covered with shining golden feathers. Each feather was a foot long. The golden eagle's wings were not spread out. On its huge head, a circle of white feathers stood upright, looking like a white crown. About 1,000 feet to its left, there was also a lion that was even larger than this one standing there. This lion's appearance was even more strange. Its entire body was actually pure white, far from the usual brownish yellow. Moreover, on both sides of the lion's ferocious head, there were 2 slightly smaller lion heads. These 2 lion heads had their eyes tightly shut, as if they were asleep. This white lion's eyes were filled with ferocity and a trace of disdain as it coldly looked ahead. Chapter 3502. The golden eagle and white lion were several hundred feet away from the 2 demons. The one standing in the air was naturally the black bear spirit. At this moment, the black bear spirit had a helpless expression. The magic wand in his hand was dragged behind him weakly. His two small eyes scanned the sky and then looked at the ground. He opened his mouth and said, "King Golden Eagle, King Myriad Lion, are the two of you tired of living? My Black Wind Ridge has always minded our own business with Mo Yun Ridge and Lion Rock. This king's Black Wind Ridge is the smallest in the Black Cloud Ridge. May I know why the two great kings are suddenly interested in my Black Wind Ridge?" The black bear spirit said to himself. His expression was very cautious. The demon cloud under his feet rolled slightly, as if he felt that something was wrong and was about to escape. Unfortunately, neither the lazy golden eagle nor the cold white lion had any intention of replying. The black bear spirit could only say, "Ai, today is already the 100th day. I really don't understand. What is the real reason for the two of you to surround my Black Wind Ridge? This king is the earliest king of Black Wind Ridge, right? This king only gave the throne to King Wancho because he was in the prime of his life. However, he actually forgot his roots and wanted to harm this king. This king had no choice but to kill him. Could it be that the two kings had a particularly good relationship with him and are here to avenge him?" Caw. The golden eagle's eyes were originally slightly closed. At this moment, he suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes shone brightly. The black bear spirit was so scared that he trembled. He activated the demon cloud under his feet and instantly fled more than 10 feet away. Black bear spirit. The golden eagle laughed and said, "You said this on the first day I came. After that, you said it every day. Don't you feel tired of it? Don't you understand why I am here? Why do you need me to say it clearly? You and I are both demons. We both know it." The black bear spirit said with a wronged expression, "King Golden Eagle, you are a 9-headed bird in the sky. How can I compare to you? Back then, didn't Old Bear find a flat bird to be his king because he wasn't smart enough? Oh, I am not the king of innuendo. Don't think too much. You're right, you and I are demons, we're different from the stinky scholars of the hidden immortal continent. We should say what we should say, don't speak in riddles. 100 days ago, you and the Myriad Lion King suddenly joined forces to attack my Black Wind Ridge. Why exactly did you do that? This old bear has always felt that we came to the hidden immortal continent to be demons and that life is not easy. Yes, it is what the scholars often say. Originally, there is no need to be so anxious to destroy each other. That was why this old bear endured time and time again. Even if I had to give up my cave and retreat to this place, I did not want to be enemies with you all. But you all don't have the awareness of being demons, attacking my Black Wind Ridge from all sides. Roar. Seeing that the black bear spirit was being so long-winded, the white lion opened its mouth and a gust of wind blew within 100 feet radius. The lion's roar shook the mountains. Roar, roar. The ferocious beasts all roared together with the white lion's roar. It was a scene of chaos. Black bear. The white lion's voice was very majestic, rolling like thunder. This is the first time this king has spoken, and it will also be the last time. My Black Wind Ridge is the world of demons. You can let King Wancho be the king, or King Snowbat be the king, but you can't let a human be the king. You have always been a coward, this king has long seen through you. If not for the fact that your existence is still meaningful, this king would have already eaten you. Since you have spoken so clearly, as a demon, this king will also be honest with you. What kind of array is on the mountain behind you? Since when did your Black Wind Ridge have a Daoist sect array protecting it? Who set it up? Ayaya. Myriad Lion King. The black bear spirit hurriedly smiled. You've finally spoken. Look at what you're saying. How can my Black Wind Ridge compare to Mo Yun Ridge and Lion Rock? You have a strong army and no one dares to offend you. My Black Wind Ridge will be in trouble if there's even the slightest disturbance. That's why this king invited an unknown Daoist sect cultivator to set up an array for my Black Wind Ridge. I'm afraid that something unexpected will happen and my Black Wind Ridge will be able to escape this calamity. Unknown Dao Sect Cultivator. Hee, Black Bear, you're really lying through your teeth. The boy from Moyun Ridge and Lion Rock joined forces to attack for 10 whole days and still couldn't do anything about it. How could it be set up by an unknown Dao Sect Cultivator? The Golden Condor King laughed coldly. How about this? This king won't say anything. Invite that cultivator out and let this king take a look. Ayaya. The Black Bear Spirit cried out in surprise. Why is the Golden Condor King suddenly interested in a Dao Sect cultivator? You should have said so earlier. Since you wanted to see this cultivator, you didn't have to surround my Black Wind Ridge, did you? If you had said so earlier, this king wouldn't have had to be so worried for the past 100 days. Where is he? The White Lion was clearly impatient and asked coldly. He left long ago. The Black Bear Spirit spread his hands and laughed bitterly. Both kings are right. This Black Wind Ridge is my world. What is a cultivator doing in Black Wind Ridge? He left long ago. Both kings, even if we don't meet the Hermit Seeker, let's quickly retreat. This king will also return to the cave residence with a group of people. With that, the Black Bear Spirit clapped his hands and prepared to fly back. Caw! The Golden Condor cried out. Everyone says that the Black Bear Spirit is cowardly. This king thinks that your guts are bigger than the heavens. You want to dismiss the boy from Moyun Ridge and Lion Rock with just a few words? Aren't you going to invite us into your array to take a look? The Black Bear Spirit scratched his head and laughed in an extremely naive manner. Both kings have already occupied this old bear's nest. What haven't you seen? What else do you want to see in the array? Of course, if both kings are sincere, then you can dismiss the boy under you first. This king will open the array and invite both of you in. What's there to see in your broken nest? This king doesn't even want to take a look. The Golden Condor laughed coldly. Seeing that you have been working hard to greet this king every day, this king will make things clear to you. Invite all the people in your Black Wind Ridge who are not demons out, and we will retreat immediately. Especially the cultivator who helped you set up this array. Sigh. Hearing that the Golden Condor King had finally revealed his intentions, the Black Bear Spirit's expression turned serious. He shook his head slightly and said, Golden Condor, White Lion, this old bear knows that his strength is not as good as yours. Furthermore, this old bear is also cowardly. There are some things that small demons like you and I can't interfere in. In particular, this old bear will also give you a piece of advice. When judging a person, you have to look at their heart. Don't sell your life for someone else's promise. Sometimes, what you are selling may be your own life. Even if this old bear is unlucky, can you, Golden Condor and White Lion, be free? I don't believe it. Old bear, I didn't think that you would dare to say this to us. It turns out that there are times when you are bold. The Golden Condor King laughed and spread his wings. They were actually hundreds of feet wide. As his wings flapped, golden light flashed. However, the Golden Condor King's tone was even more arrogant. This king came today to see what kind of cultivator gave you the courage to look like. I want him to set up the same array for this king's Moyun Ridge. Forget it. The Black Bear Spirit saw the Golden Condor King spread his wings and hurriedly waved his hand. He flew up the mountain and shouted, This king will not waste any more words with you. You can attack or surround me if you want. This king is going to find a female bear to look at the stars. Seeing that the Black Bear Spirit was so alert, the Golden Condor King glanced at the silent White Lion and smiled bitterly. The Black Bear Spirit flew close to the mountain ridge, and a circle of light flashed around its body. Its body twisted strangely and disappeared. The mountain ridge was still the same as before. Not even a blade of grass on the mountain moved. Myriad Lion King, this Black Bear Spirit is so slippery. He did not reveal anything at all. The Golden Condor King said helplessly to the Myriad Lion King. The Myriad Lion King nodded. This black bear spirit is famous for his cowardice. For the past 100 days, he has been very careful every day. It seems like he wants us to slack off. Every time he comes out, he will not be more than 500 feet away from the array. With your flying speed, you will not be able to do anything to him. It seems like the black bear spirit is still relying on this Daoist array. It seems like we can only break this array to achieve our goal. The Golden Condor King looked at the mountain and said awkwardly, "But our boy has been attacking this array for more than 10 days. There is no effect at all. Even if we do it ourselves, we may not succeed." At this point, the Golden Condor King lowered his voice and said, "Who is the cultivator who set up the array for the black bear spirit? Why, do they have to force this person out?" The black bear spirit's words these few days have made this king nervous. To be able to set up such an array is not an ordinary cultivator. Let's not get into trouble. Humph, what trouble can we get into? The White Lion King sneered. Hiding in the array for more than 100 days and not daring to come out. What kind of famous cultivator can he be? Besides, even if this cultivator has some tricks up his sleeve, can he compare to them? Indeed. The Golden Condor King shrunk his neck, the white crown on his head slanted. No matter how powerful that cultivator is, he is just one person. How many nails can he make if he is made of iron? This king has seen how powerful that group of people is. If you and I don't listen, I am afraid we will be killed by them immediately. Sigh. Hearing this, the Myriad Lion King looked embarrassed and sighed. You and I have been flaunting our strength in the Black Cloud Ridge for so many years, but who knew that there were so many people hiding in the depths of the Black Cloud Ridge? You and I have become their cover. If not for the black bear spirit, you and I would still be in the dark. The ignorant are fearless. The Golden Condor King gathered his courage. You and I are still useful now. If we were like the black bear spirit, I am afraid we would not live for long. Since those people are willing to let us be their cover, we will continue to be their cover. In the future, without the black bear spirit, you and I do not need to care too much about territory. Let's live well first. Chapter 3503. The problem is that after the black bear spirit is destroyed, you and I. Myriad Lion King's eyes were filled with worry. Will it be like what Old Bear said? What's the use of thinking about this now? Golden Condor King sneered. Since the day you and I entered Black Cloud Ridge, today's fate has already been decided. Let's take it one step at a time. No matter what, we'll live longer than the black bear. Perhaps, we should also consider finding a powerful backer. Myriad Lion King seemed to have thought about it and said in a low voice. Golden Condor King sneered. We are the infamous demons of Black Cloud Ridge. Those Confucian cultivators, who would fancy us? They're probably afraid that they won't be able to escape in time. Sigh, it's difficult. Myriad Lion King shook his head. The white lion fur on his body emitted a dazzling brilliance. He looked at Black Wind Ridge in the distance and seemed to be angry. It's all because of that damn black bear. He ordered the boy to move our muscles today since we haven't attacked for a long time. Why should we attack? Golden Condor King laughed. That group of people just wanted us to surround Black Wind Ridge. They didn't say that they wanted to attack it. Why should we work so hard? Forget it. We've been surrounded for many days. Even if Black Bear has some food, it should be used up by now. Let's wait for them to rush out. Myriad Lion King thought for a while and nodded slightly. But at this moment, Golden Condor King smiled and asked, if Black Bear Spirit and the rest rush out, what should we do? Black Bear's subordinates. Kill. Don't leave a single one alive. Myriad Lion King opened his mouth. The fangs in his bloody mouth were very long. He then spat out 5 words coldly. Golden Condor King nodded. I'm afraid that's the only way. Sigh, Black Bear Spirit said it well. We're from the same root. Why be so anxious to kill each other? Bullshit. I'm a white lion. I have nothing to do with Black Bear. Myriad Lion King sneered. If you're merciful, you can go easy. Let's see how those people will deal with your MO Cloud Ridge. I didn't say anything. I just admired the poems of hidden immortal continents Confucian cultivators and casually recited a few lines. You admire? If the Confucian cultivators you ate didn't turn into feces in your stomach, they could turn into a few poems. The Myriad Lion King sneered again. Putting aside the fact that the Golden Condor King and the Myriad Lion King had surrounded the Black Wind Ridge's formation, the Black Bear spirit hurriedly retreated into the formation. What appeared before his eyes was the simple cave abode that Xiaohua had previously opened in the Black Wind Ridge. At this time, the front of the cave was divided into two parts. The upper part was the people led by the Chongling princess of Jianghu country. They had set up tents and stayed at the side of the cave. The lower part was a group of demons from Black Wind Ridge. Unlike the Chongling princess people, these demons did not have any formations. They were casually scattered among the mountains. Some were lying down, some were standing, and some were in groups of 3 or 5. However, their gazes were all focused on the tents on the mountain. As for the human and demon, there were some thorns and rocks in the middle. There were even some heavily armored soldiers standing there with spears in their hands. They were very vigilant and alert. But the heavy armor and the spears in their hands could not wipe away the terror in the eyes of these soldiers. This was because they were facing the naked gazes of hundreds or even thousands of demons. These gazes were like sharp swords, piercing through their heavy armor and landing on their bodies. It was as if their flesh was exposed to the world, and the fragrance of their flesh and blood had already spread to the mouths and noses of the demons. At the foot of the mountain, one of the fairies swallowed his saliva. In an instant, the soldiers' ears were filled with the sounds of saliva drooling. They could even see that many fairies were already drooling. Not good. The leftmost soldier saw that the few demons closest to him had slightly moved their feet and were moving towards them. He was shocked and hurriedly shouted, "Quickly inform the princess, the demon can't take it anymore, humph." Fortunately, just as a soldier was about to retreat and the few demons in front of him were about to take a step forward, the Black Bear spirit's cold snort sounded out. The few demons were shocked and hurriedly stopped in their tracks. They turned their heads and looked in other directions. The other demons also shrunk their necks and shifted their attention away from the soldiers. There were even a few demons that tried to cover it up by grabbing a few rare blades of grass from the ground and putting them into their mouths to chew on. Master has already decreed that my Black Wind Mountain Range bloodline must not eat human flesh. Who dares to make me lose face? I will kill him. The Black Bear spirit shouted fiercely. Furthermore, the soldiers of Jianghu country are our comrades. If anyone dares to look at them, I will dig out their eyeballs. After speaking, the Black Bear spirit did not look at the other demons. He turned and landed in front of the cave residence and quickly walked in. However, his face turned bitter as he faced the demons. Damn it. Without waiting for the Black Bear spirit to enter the cave, he shouted, "Are you guys done with your discussion? When are we going to charge out? If we wait a few more days, before the Golden Eagle and White Lion attack, we will be in chaos. Boy under my command, do not blame me when they eat people." The inside of this simple cave residence was not much different from before Xiaohua had left. However, other than the Chongling princess, Xiao Jian and the others, there was an additional white-haired old man under Xiaohua's seat. This old man frowned slightly. Hearing the Black Bear spirit's complaints, he turned to look at Qin Xiaoyao, who was also sitting next to him, and Lu Yi, who was holding a horsetail whisk in the distance. He said, "Black Wind King, do not be impatient, do not be impatient." The Black Bear spirit seemed very dissatisfied. Without waiting for the old man to finish speaking, he sat down on a seat below everyone and complained, "Eldest sect Uncle Qin, go out and take a look yourself." This king's boy subordinates look at the soldiers of Jianghu country. They have been hungry for many days. If there is no more food, this king really does not know how to restrain them. This old man's name was Qin Qingyu, and he was Qin Xiaoyao's martial uncle. Long before Xiaohua left, Qin Xiaoyao had brought a few of his disciples to the Jiang country to search for the Daoist sect cultivators that had yet to be killed by the Copper Pillar Gua. When the Jiang country was destroyed, the Dao cultivators of the Jiang country naturally scattered and fled far away. The so-called Second Imperial Preceptor Qin Xiaoyao did not find him, and only found Qin Xingyu, who did not have time to escape. At that time, Qin Xingyu was planning where to go with his dozens of disciples and hundreds of Dao soldiers. When he heard that there was a nascent soul cultivator in the Black Wind Ridge who wanted to help the Jiang country restore the country, Qin Xingyu was immediately overjoyed. Who did not know the merit of becoming a dragon? At this time, it was Xiaohua's time to use people, and his own help was 100 times better than the icing on the cake in the future. Therefore, Qin Xingyu did not hesitate to follow Qin Xiaoyao to the Black Wind Ridge. However, Qin Xingyu had not expected Copper Pillar Gua to be so determined to kill the Chongling princess, and even more so the Jiang family and Copper Pillar Academy's desire to kill Xiaohua. When he came to Black Wind Ridge with his Dao soldiers, all of Black Wind Ridge was surrounded by the Yao of Mo Yun Ridge and Lion Mountain. Qin Xingyu was disdainful of the Yao. He ordered his disciples to lead the Dao soldiers to resist, and had the Black Bear Spirit lead the Yao of Black Wind Ridge to attack. The Dao soldiers fought 1 against 3, and effectively blocked the flying beasts of Mo Yun Ridge. But the Yao of Black Wind Ridge were not a match for the beasts of Lion Mountain, and were defeated in 1 blow. Qin Xingyu had no choice but to listen to Xiao Jian's arrangements. He took the Dao soldiers and disciples to follow the Black Bear Spirit into the large formation Xiaohua had set up. Of course, Qin Xingyu had seen many large formations. At the start, he did not have much hope for this large formation. He was waiting for Mo Yun Ridge and Lion Mountain to break through the formation, and then he would lead his people to break through. But reality caused Qin Xingyu's eyes to widen. The Yao of Lion Mountain and Mo Yun Ridge had attacked for many days, but the large formation was undamaged. The Yao of Black Wind Ridge were relaxed as though they were watching a show, watching the flying beasts and beasts fight with their lives outside the formation. Seeing this, Qin Xingyu grew more curious about Xiaohua, this nascent soul cultivator he had never met before. However, after a few days of curiosity, regret came again. Xiaohua didn't come back on time. Mo Yun Ridge and Lion Rock's attack also stopped. The birds and beasts actually surrounded them but didn't attack, and just like that, they wasted their time. At the beginning, Qin Xingyu still had some confidence. He felt that a nascent soul cultivator would not go back on his word. But as time passed, 10 days passed, until 100 days had passed. He was disappointed, gave up, and was extremely vexed. What made his heart jump the most was that he had fallen into the trap of Mo Yun Ridge and Lion Mountain. Because Mo Yun Ridge and Lion Mountain did not attack, the people of Black Wind Ridge and the Yao had run out of food for a long time. Also, this mountain did not rely on water. Everyone did not even have water. The cultivators were naturally not afraid of this, but the Dao soldiers and Yao were. When the Yao of Black Wind Ridge retreated into the formation, they did not think so much and did not bring anything. The princess of Chongling and the others carried some food in the small universe bag, but it could not support the consumption of the Black Wind Ridge Yao. In the end, each person and each Yao could eat very little every day. This was why the Black Wind Ridge Yao looked at the soldiers of Jiang country with such fervent gazes. Only now did Qin Xingyu understand. How could the Yao of Mo Yun Ridge and Lion Mountain have such a plan? How did they know of the food shortage plan? There must be an expert guiding them from behind, and their target was definitely not him. Other than the princess of Chongling, it was probably that nascent soul cultivator Xiaohua. However, he could see that the other goal of the Yao's encirclement was to force Xiaohua to come out. But what made Qin Xingyu bitter was that Xiaohua's departure was very sudden and secretive. Even the majority of the Yao of Black Wind Ridge did not know. How could the Golden Eagle and White Lion know? I'm afraid that they've mistaken me for Xiaohua, and I'm the scapegoat. Chapter 3504. Thinking of this, Qin Xingyu unconsciously looked angrily at Qin Xiaoyao. If this guy had not lured him here, how could he have come here? Now that the situation was hopeless, how could he resolve it? Maybe this is the only way. Qin Xingyu's gaze swept across the Chongling princess and the angry black bear spirit, and made a decision. Black bear spirit friend. Qin Xingyu laughed and said, aren't I and the others discussing? The situation is dangerous now, and it is time for us to work together. We cannot be anxious, and cannot be suspicious. You discuss. This king will wait for you to decide. This king does not know how to use brains, but this king knows how to use strength. The black bear spirit waved his hand and said disinterestedly. But just as the black bear spirit hung his head in annoyance, Lu Yi, who had been holding a horsetail whisk, suddenly opened his eyes and nodded at the black bear spirit. He smiled and said to Qin Xingyu, Sect Uncle Qin, this one cannot come up with any ideas. I am bored here, and want to go out for a walk. Haha, little friend Lu, do as you please. This is your master's cave residence, you are the masters here. Qin Xingyu bowed slightly, making people feel that Qin Xingyu was very amiable. Many thanks, Sect Uncle Qin. Lu Yi bowed respectfully and slowly walked out. He walked to the black bear spirit's side and gave the black bear spirit a look. The black bear spirit blinked his small eyes to show that he understood. Then he lowered his head and soon dozed off. Fortunately, it was just a moment. He lowered his head as though he was really asleep. When he raised his head, he immediately opened his small eyes and said apologetically, sorry, I am really tired. You discuss, I will go out and take a nap. Then, without waiting for others to say anything, he ran out while muttering. Alas, fellow immortal Xiao. Qin Xingyu originally wanted to whisper something to Qin Xiaoyao, but when he saw the black bear spirit, he also left. He looked around and sighed, it seems that we have to make a decision. If we wait any longer, I'm afraid that even Lu and fellow immortal black bear will have other thoughts. Impossible. Xiao Jian furrowed his brows and shook his head. I can understand if others are disloyal, but these two would never do that. You can't judge a book by its cover. Who knows what others are thinking? Qin Xingyu said with a smile, fellow immortal, don't you know this? Then what does fellow Daoist Qin mean? Xiao Jian looked at Qin Xingyu and asked, should we rush out of the formation and fight those birds and beasts to the death? How is this possible? Qin Xingyu smiled faintly. You and I are well aware of the strength of our forces. Fellow immortal Heixiong's absence saves us the embarrassment of talking about it. The demons of the Black Wind Mountain are just a motley crew. They're not enough to accomplish anything. We're no match for those birds and beasts. What we need to do now is to figure out how to escape. Martial uncle, how is that possible? Qin Xiaoyao said with a bitter face. If we could escape, would we have waited until now? If this disciple is not wrong, there must be elite soldiers of Bronze Pillar country outside Black Cloud Ridge. Even if we rush out of Mo Yun Ridge and Lion Rock's encirclement, it's unlikely we can escape Black Cloud Ridge. Xiaoyao, you think too highly of yourself. Qin Xingyu said with a smile. You think these demons are here for you? Cough cough, your highness, don't be too nervous. Didn't fellow immortal Black Bear say it clearly? The Golden Eagle and White Tiger care about Senior Xiao. If it was only for your highness, they would not be so fanatical. Senior Qin, this one is no longer the princess of Jiang country. There is no need to call me your highness. The Chongling princess also had a worried frown. She smiled and said, actually, this one hopes that their target is me. This way, this one only needs to go out and the danger of Black Wind Mountain will be resolved immediately. There is no need to harm everyone's lives. The princess is definitely one of their targets. At the side, Xiao Jian shook his head and said, but they are surrounding us and not attacking because they want to see our bottom line. Fellow Daoist Qin is right. There must be an encirclement outside this encirclement. But our consciousness is limited and cannot see far. We cannot see the situation outside Black Wind Mountain. In my opinion, there must be an even more powerful enemy who has set a trap for Senior Xiao. When he spoke up to hear, Xiao Jian sighed and said, before Senior Xiao left, he set up this formation to hide us, and he instructed us to pretend to have escaped from Black Wind Ridge so that the pursuers of the Copper Pillar Kingdom would think that we've escaped. Back then, I felt that Senior Zhao's actions were unnecessary. It would have been better for us to leave Black Wind Mountain. But now that I think about it, it is easy for us to leave Black Wind Mountain, but it is difficult to escape from the pursuers of Bronze Pillar Country. Especially Chongling and the others, they will fall into the hands of Bronze Pillar Country. The reason why Senior Xiao asked us to stay here was to leave the grudge between Tong Zhuguo and Jianghu for him to settle. So he can keep us alive. But, he calculated wrong. We only paid attention to the movements of Bronze Pillar Country. We did not expect the spirits of Mo Yun Ridge and Lion Mountain to come. We were caught off guard. Since it's so grim, I'm afraid we won't be able to escape, right? Qin Xiaoyao was also filled with emotions as he followed Xiao Jian's words. Xiao Jian glanced at Qin Xingyu and said, "That's right. I feel that we are too weak right now. The only thing we can rely on is Senior Zhao's formation. We can't break out of the encirclement easily. Breaking out of the encirclement will only consume our strength. What we need to do is wait for Senior Zhao's return." Of course, fellow Daoists Qin sent disciples to search for news of other Jiang country cultivators before coming to Black Wind Mountain. If they can come, we can work together, maybe we have a chance of survival. The other disciples. Qin Xingyu grimaced. Right now, Black Wind Mountain is likely a bait. The other disciples will only die if they come. Xiao Jian felt the same and nodded slightly in agreement. Granny Ji, Qianli, and Kongli were sitting next to the Chongling princess. They followed the Chongling princess and did not speak. But from their expressions, they seemed to agree with Xiao Jian's words. The problem is not whether we are willing to escape or not. Qin Xingyu frowned again and explained, it's because the situation is more powerful than us. It's the demons of Mo Yun Ridge and Lion Rock that forced us to escape. Of course, this old man, and even the people in the cave do not care about food and water, but the other spirits and soldiers cannot. It's not like you didn't hear fellow Daoist black bears shout just now. What if those demons go crazy from hunger? Even the black bear spirit can't control them, right? Xiao Jian heard this and said with a smile, I naturally agree with Sect Uncle Qin's words. It does not conflict with I's words. Since we know where the problem is, can't we solve the problem of food and water? How to solve it? Qin Xingyu grimaced and said, previously, we sent people to charge out, but Dao soldiers, the spirits, and even fellow Daoist Xiao, didn't you try? The Golden Eagle is extremely fast, the White Lion's abilities are impressive. No one succeeded. We were not forced to the brink before. Xiao Jian answered. Also, we sent people here and there, but forgot about the person who could escape. Fellow Daoist Xiao has a backup plan? Qin Xingyu stilled and said curiously. Xiao Jian shook his head. I do not have a backup plan. The person with the highest cultivation in this cave is Sect Uncle Qin. If Sect Uncle Qin wants to go out to find food, the Golden Eagle will not be able to stop him. Especially, if the people of Black Wind Mountain prepare to break out together and move in all directions, even if the Golden Eagle can stop Sect Uncle Qin, he will not know how to stop him. No. Qin Xingyu shook his head slightly. This old man has the highest cultivation here. If the formation is broken, this old man has the power to protect the princess. But if this old man escapes and cannot return in time, if something happens to the princess, will this old man not become a sinner of Jiang country? The Chongling princess heard this and stood up gracefully. She bowed respectfully and said, Elder Qin, Chongling thanks Elder again for your heart. But at this time, Chongling's safety is not important. If the hundreds of pixies and soldiers could not survive, how could Chongling survive? Chongling asks Elder to risk death to charge out of the encirclement and find enough food for the people of Black Cloud Ridge. Ah, Your Highness the Princess. Qin Xingyu still shook his head. The spirits are surrounding the mountain. This old man can easily charge out, but it will be difficult to return. This old man fears that I will fail the princess. Elder. The Chongling princess said seriously, at this time, to speak the truth, Chongling has implicated everyone. Chongling is grateful that everyone has accompanied Chongling to this day. Do not say that you have failed. It is fortunate to be able to escape with your lives. You do not owe Chongling anything. As she spoke, the Chongling princess bowed to everyone again. Granny Ji and the others panicked and hurriedly stood to return the bow. Qin Xingyu seemed to be thinking. After a moment, he nodded slightly and said, if so, this old man will go all out. Let's get out first, and find food for Black Wind Mountain. Good. Xiao Jian clapped and said, Elder Qin should have done this long ago. I will summon the Black Bear spirit and have him give the order. Hundreds of spirits will charge out together. Elder can take advantage of the chaos to leave. Qin Xingyu nodded. Actually, if this old man charges out of Black Cloud Ridge, food is easy to find. This old man will use at most half a day to return. Daoist Xiao, please ask Daoist Black Bear Spirit to act at night. This old man will charge when I hear the battle cries. Alright, we will also lead the soldiers to charge out of the encirclement with the Black Wind Mountain spirits. Xianli and Kong Li could not help but agree. But just as they spoke, a soldier in black armor hurriedly charged in and shouted, Your Highness the Princess, not good, a dozen spirits are charging. Chapter 3505. Where is the Black Wind King? Qianli was shocked. Without waiting for the Chongling princess to speak, he hurriedly stood and shouted. The Black Wind King and Master Lu left the cave and went up the mountain. They have not returned yet, the soldier answered. Yeah. You go and stop those yaos. Kill whoever dares to come forward. Xiao Jian hurriedly stood and ordered Yuanya. Then he said to the Chongling princess and Qin Xiaoyao, this one will go find the Black Bear spirit. You two, prepare. We will charge out of the formation together, pretend to attack, and help Elder Qin charge out in the chaos. We understand. The Chongling princess and Qin Xiaoyao nodded. Yuanya, who had been silent, hurriedly stood, looked deeply at the Chongling princess, and then quickly followed Xiao Jian out. The Black Wind Ridge people charged to the east, the Chongling princess to the north. Xiaoyao, you take the Dao soldiers and charge to the south. Qin Xingyu saw Qin Jian leave and shouted again. This old man will go wherever I see a gap. Also, if you can charge out, then do so. Maybe this old man will attract their attention, and you can easily leave. No matter who goes out, if they can bring food and water out, it will be a great achievement. Yes. Everyone was shocked. They had been surrounded by a group of yaos for 100 days. Now, it was time to fight back. While they were just helping Qin Xingyu charge out, everyone was excited. After a simple assignment, Qin Xingyu rose to his feet and flew out of the cave residence. Hiss. Flying out of the cave, Qin Xingyu couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Back in the cave, no matter how serious the Black Bear spirit was, Qin Xingyu didn't care. Seeing the situation in front of him, he finally understood. The situation inside the formation was far more dangerous than he had imagined. However, in front of the tent set up by the soldiers of the Jiang country, hundreds of Dao soldiers had already flown into the air. Each of them held a magic tool in their hands, and their faces were filled with vigilance. Below them, there were also hundreds of soldiers who were already fully equipped. They were also riding on horses, holding spears in their hands. Across from them, hundreds and thousands of fairies had begun to move in groups, advancing towards the soldiers step by step. Each of the fairies stuck out their scarlet tongues to lick their mouths. An indescribable thirst flashed in their eyes, and the primitive desire of hunger had overwhelmed all rationality. Black Bear Spirit, where's the Black Bear Spirit? Qin Xingyu couldn't help but yell. He knew in his heart that in the eyes of these demons, they were all food. Only the Black Bear Spirit was a threat. This king is here. Only then did the black bear spirit turn around from behind the cave abode. He stepped on the demon cloud and rushed into the air, shouting, "Stop! Whoever dares to take half a step forward, I will kill him immediately." The black bear spirit roared angrily. Demonic chi surged from its body. Its usual cowardice was long gone. Its ferocious aura frightened the bear spirit in front of it. "Your Majesty." The bear spirit at the front gritted its teeth and said, "We know what your Majesty means, but we haven't eaten our fill for a long time. Master once said that he did not want us to eat humans, and we all remember that in our hearts, but now that there is nothing else to eat, we do not plan to eat humans, as long as the soldiers of Jiang country give their warhorses to the little ones to eat. That's it. Don't say such boring things." The black bear spirit sneered, "These soldiers of the Jiang country all rely on their warhorses. Without them, they would not be able to fight at all. Your Majesty, what battle is there to talk about now? The little ones are all hungry to the point that their hearts are stuck to their backs. How can they have the strength to fight?" The bear spirit looked at the black bear spirit, but his gaze would occasionally glance at the soldiers of Jiang country, and said, "Besides, the little ones eat meat in order to live. Even if Old Master comes back, Old Master can't possibly say anything, right?" Xiaohua had left him some food that day, but Xiaohua had never thought that there would be such a situation. Not only did the spirit demon eat a lot of food, the Dao soldiers that Qin Xingyu had brought with him also did not have any food. These people ate a lot more than ordinary people, so the food that Xiaohua had given them was not enough. Of course, if not for Xiaohua's food, the Black Wind Ridge would not have been able to last for 100 days. "Children," the black bear spirit thought for a moment, then raised his voice and said, "I know you guys are hungry, but look, the soldiers in front of you are so hungry that they are all skin and bones. What can they do? Even these warhorses were left with bones. Do you want to eat meat or gnaw on bones? What's more, the soldiers of Jiang country will defend against the enemy with us. Although we are demons, demons still have to have morals. How can we attack the warriors by our side? If you want to eat, you have to eat outside the formation. Those bastards from Mo Yun Ridge and Lion Rock have surrounded us. I've been suffocated for a while. Let's go. I'll bring you guys to eat meat. I'll gnaw those bastards from Mo Yun Ridge and Lion Rock into bones. Let's go, let's go." Although the few old and wise bear spirits were also greedy, they understood in their hearts that when they heard the black bear spirit's words, they also raised the weapons in their hands and shouted, "We will go and eat the fat cow." It was fine if they did not mention the fat cattle, but when they heard the fat cattle, many of the bear spirits were drooling. Their gazes moved away from the Dao soldiers who were slightly emaciated, and swarmed down the mountain. The black bear spirit immediately relaxed. Qin Xingyu and the others also sighed in relief. The princess of Chengling, Qin Xiaoyao and the others all charged in front of the Dao soldiers and spoke about the matter of preparing to charge out. Everyone became alert. They were warriors, and had been suppressed in the formation for nearly 100 days. They had long been impatient. Now that they were being treated as food by the demons, they felt even more uncomfortable. Hearing that they were going to go out and fight, a wave of passion rose in their hearts. Rather than being eaten by the demons, it was better to kill the demons. If they could charge out, they would charge out. If they could not, it was better to die. Yes. Many soldiers responded in unison and left under the leadership of Qian Li and Kong Li. Those Dao soldiers also flew to the other direction in front of the formation under the leadership of Qin Xiaoyao and others, quietly waiting for Qin Xingyu's order to fight. In front of the cave, only Xiao Jian, Qin Xingyu, and Lu Yi who had just come down from the mountain were left. Qin Xingyu glanced at Xiao Jian and said with a smile, "Fellow immortal Xiao, you will be in charge of this battle. You will give the orders." "All right." Xiao Jian nodded and said, "We will rely on Elder Qin to deal with the Black Wind Ridge. We will wait here for Elder to return. I hope that Elder Qin will not fail our trust." Qin Xingyu looked at the soldiers and horses in the three directions and answered, just as we discussed before, after this old man charges out, you can weaken your attacks and retreat to the formation. Wait half a day before you attack again. This old man will take advantage of the chaos to come in. After speaking, Qin Xingyu moved and flew to the left of the Chongling princess, and landed on the back of a soldier's horse. Xiao Jian knew that Qin Xingyu wanted to take advantage of the chaotic battle to escape, so he waved his hand and flew into the air. His hand formed a spell, and a beam of light came out of his hand, charging into the air in front of the mountain. It was like a stone being thrown into water. Many horizontal waves were generated in the air. After the horizontal waves, the ferocious birds and beasts surrounding the Black Wind Ridge were revealed. Xiao Jian shouted angrily, "Everyone, kill! Kill!" The soldiers of Jiang country were the first to respond. They urged their warhorses and charged out of the formation with spears in their hands. The hundreds of iron hooves rushed down the hillside like a torrent. Although the demons of Lion Rock were in a defensive formation, they were still caught off guard. In the instant of contact, more than 10 demons were pierced by the spears, and miserable screams could be heard. The soldiers of Jiang country rushed down the mountain ridge, and the hundreds of Dao soldiers also pounced towards the demons of Mo Yun Ridge from the air. Many flashes of light could be seen, and one magical artifact after another smashed down. Similarly, many fierce birds had their wings broken, and fell from the sky. Roar roar. Of the three powers, the weakest Black Wind Ridge demons were different from before. As soon as the starving demons rushed out of the magic array, their eyes lit up. It was as if the aggressive demons in front of them were fat cows. Wind immediately appeared under their feet, and they pounced on them, screaming hysterically. These spirit demons were naturally not as fast as the soldiers of Jiang country. When they came into contact with the spirit demons of Lion Mountain, the spirit demons were already prepared. Although they did not resist in a particularly orderly manner, the weapons in their hands did not hesitate to fight with the bear spirits of Black Wind Ridge. However, just as the battle began, the spirit demons of Lion Mountain were once again terrified, because the bear spirits were not fighting like before. They all looked like they were going to perish together, and there was no method at all. As long as they saw an opening, they would immediately pounce over and open their bloody mouths to bite. Many demons were caught off guard and were bitten on the arms and nape of their necks. Ah! Screams came from the mouths of these demons. The successful bear demons bit off the flesh of these demons and chewed it in their mouths. As for those spirit demons who did not succeed, when they heard the sound of chewing meat and the smell of blood, they became even more anxious and crazy. They pounced towards their opponents without any regard for their lives. Seeing this, the spirit demons of Lion Mountain were dumbfounded. Spirits did need to eat meat, but most of the meat was human and livestock meat. How could they eat spirit demon meat after becoming a spirit demon? Ever since they became spirit demons, they had long since developed a sense of self-awareness, differentiating themselves from those spirit demons that did not have intelligence. At this moment, looking at the blood in the mouth and body of the Black Wind Ridge bear spirit, as well as the madness in its eyes, how could it still have the integrity of a spirit demon? A spirit demon without any integrity. It was truly terrifying. Fairies were actually the same as humans. When they saw that they were about to become food for others, they felt a chill in their hearts and involuntarily retreated. The fairies of Black Wind Ridge immediately gained the upper hand and slowly advanced down the mountain. Chapter 3506. In the sky, the golden eagle and white lion were surprised to see the formation of the Black Wind Ridge open. However, the golden eagle spread its wings and shouted, "Myriad Lion King, be careful. I'm afraid this is the Black Wind Ridge's last resort. I urge all the boys to work harder and break this formation completely. Let's see how powerful that Daoist cultivator is. Since it's all in one throw, why care about their formation? Once we kill all these demons and humans, what's the point of keeping their magic formation?" White Lion laughed and ignored the golden condor. With a flap of his body, he flew down the mountain. The golden eagle said, "If you don't go, I'll break the formation myself." Immediately after, it spread its wings, and its body flashed with brilliance. A hurricane was born, and the huge body of the golden condor was like a meteor as it rushed towards Xiao Jian, who had revealed himself in midair. Its huge claws emitted a sizzling sound as they tore through the air. They were sharper than ordinary flying swords. Humph. Xiao Jian sneered and waved his hand as steadily as a mountain. There was a flash of brilliance, and the golden eagle only felt a flash in front of his eyes. Although the situation in front of him was still the same and he still saw the contempt in Xiao Jian's eyes, he still had an extremely bad feeling from the bottom of his heart. Sure enough, before the golden eagle could do anything, its sharp claws touched an extremely tough restriction. The golden eagle was very familiar with this restriction. Oh no! The golden eagle was shocked. He knew that the formation had been sealed and he had hit the restriction. He hurriedly flapped his wings and prepared to fly up. However, at this moment, a strong force came from the restriction. This force wrapped around the golden eagle and smashed it down the mountain. Boom! There was a loud sound. Just hundreds of feet below the Black Wind Ridge, the golden eagle's body smashed into a mountain slope that was 100 feet high. Not only did it smash a big hole in the mountain slope, but it also smashed two ferocious beasts that were guarding there into meat paste. A cloud of dust gradually settled, and the extremely sorry figure of the golden eagle was revealed. Its shining golden feathers were gray, and it no longer had the majesty from before. At this time, among the Jiang soldiers fighting with the beasts, a figure suddenly moved. However, this figure did not charge into the sky, but flattened out dozens of feet. Dozens of feet away, it was the Changling princess riding a peach-red horse and swinging her weapon to kill the beasts. At this time, the Changling princess had just killed a beast. She was about to raise her whip when she felt something was strange behind her. She unconsciously flipped her hand and the whip was about to strike. "Princess, it's I." Qin Xingyu's voice sounded by her ear. "Martial Uncle Qin?" The Changling princess stilled and put away the whip in her hand. She did not understand why Qin Xingyu had suddenly appeared behind her. But before she could think, her body suddenly tensed and she flew off the peach-red horse. "Martial Uncle, what are you doing?" the Changling princess said urgently. "Your Highness Princess, I have received the great gift of the monarch. While I cannot die for the monarch, I must protect the princess' safety. Now is the best time to charge out of the encirclement. I cannot go alone." Qin Xingyu said in a low voice. "I will take the princess out even if I die to repay the monarch's favor." Ah! Seeing that she had been carried dozens of feet into the air by Qin Xingyu in a moment, what else could the Changling princess say? While she did not want to leave, she could only sigh inside and wait until they charged out of the encirclement. Ga! Qin Xingyu suddenly flew out. The golden eagle was naturally furious. It screeched and flapped its wings to charge into the air. But how could the power of the golden eagle compare to the capital star's formation? The enormous force had not completely disappeared from the golden eagle's body. It stumbled and did not fly up from the ground. Roar! On the mountain ridge dozens of feet away from the golden eagle, the white lion that had just bitten a few bear spirits roared angrily. Demonic clouds formed under its feet and it chased after Qin Xingyu. Also, from the white lion's mouth, rays of light like flying swords flew out and stabbed towards Qin Xingyu. "Qin Xiaoyao!" Qin Xingyu ignored white lion and roared. He opened his mouth and a fist-sized stone rushed out. As soon as the stone appeared, it flashed with a green light and suddenly grew bigger. It smashed towards the beasts in front of Qin Xingyu's head that were blocking in the air. "Protect the princess." At this time, Granny Ji, Yuanya, who was on the left of the Changling princess, and the dozen or so female generals on Pegasi moved. They each waved their weapons and urged their Pegasi to fly towards the white lion, preparing to block the white lion's attack for Qin Xingyu. As to Qin Xiaoyao, how could he not know Qin Xingyu's intentions? With an order, he led the Daoist soldiers and several disciples to charge in Qin Xingyu's direction. Puff! Yuanya's demonic staff was the first to succeed, shattering a flying sword-like light. However, His own body also lost balance and fell along with the leopard under his feet. Then, bang, bang, bang. There was a series of chaotic sounds. Granny G and the others first knocked down the white lion's attack, and many magic weapons also forced the white lion. The white lion had no choice but to temporarily abandon Qinxingyu. Under its 4 hooves, the demonic clouds moved and it dodged to the side. Immediately after, there was a series of screams. Qin Xiaoyao led the Dao soldiers to kill a few ferocious birds and rushed behind Qinxingyu. Boom, boom, boom. There were a few muffled sounds. Qin Xiaoyao's Dharma treasure hit a few ferocious birds in front of him. Those ferocious birds were all smashed into pieces and fell from midair. At this time, under the mountain ridge, the fastest golden eagle had just flown up and was still very far from Qinxingyu. The white lion had dodged the desperate attacks of Granny G and the others, but it seemed impossible for him to catch up to Qinxingyu. It seemed that Qinxingyu was really going to take the Changling princess and escape from the Black Wind Ridge. But at this time, boom, boom, boom. A series of roars came from the sky, and several rays of righteous qi suddenly fell, attacking Qinxingyu and the flying stone magic weapon. Woo! Qinxingyu's expression did not change, as though he had been prepared. His spiritual power was activated, and the flying stone vibrated. The primal energies of the universe within dozens of feet were immediately sucked into it. The flying stone immediately turned into the size of a millstone and blocked above his head. Boom, boom, boom. The righteous qi pillars fell on the flying stone, and the entire stone shook rapidly. Light flashed, and after the roars, the flying stone shrank by more than half, and Qinxingyu's face was slightly red. Qinxingyu. A faint voice came from the distance, and a middle-aged man dressed in scholarly robes appeared. You are not this old man's match, you should surrender. Jiang Yumming. Seeing this scholarly man, Qinxingyu's face was ashen, and he said in surprise, why are you here? If you can come, why can't this old man come? Jiang Yumming said faintly, I might as well tell you, not only did this old man come, but other scholarly grandmasters also came. If you want to escape from this Black Wind Ridge, it is simply wishful thinking. Other grandmasters? Qinxingyu was even more surprised. Just for that Xiaohua? Yes, and no. Jiang Yumming looked at the Changling princess in Qinxingyu's hands and answered. Actually, Jiang Yumming, this Qin will tell you honestly, that Xiaohua is not at Black Wind Ridge. Qinxingyu shook his head and said, this Qin has never seen him since coming to Black Wind Ridge. It is the same whether he is here or not. Jiang Yumming smiled slightly, his expression was very light. I understand. Qinxingyu also smiled, and his smile was very beautiful. If Xiaohua is at Black Wind Ridge, you all will work together to kill him. If he is not at Black Wind Ridge, this Changling princess is bait. Xiaohua will definitely fall into your trap, and you can still kill him. Yes, and no. Jiang Yumming looked at Qinxingyu from afar, and did not go forward, still answering faintly. Qinxingyu nodded. Naturally, it is for the Changling princess. Maybe Jiang country's treasury is not in Jiang country? Maybe Jiang country has some secrets you do not know? Jiang Yumming frowned and sneered. Qinxingyu, your teachers have all been defeated by this old man. Now that you have no way out, why don't you quickly surrender? Ha ha ha, who says this Qin has no way out? Qinxingyu laughed, and raised the Changling princess in his hands. Isn't this my way out? Shoo. Everyone was stunned. Qin Xiaoyao shouted, shut up. Qinxingyu scolded angrily. You and I are no longer Jiang country's cultivators, we do not need to respect Changling as a princess. Qin Xiaoyao gritted his teeth slightly, looked at Qinxingyu in front of him, and then the Dao soldiers and disciples on the left. He retreated dozens of feet and said in a low voice, this disciple understands Shishu's thoughts, but this disciple does not want to make mistakes again and again. Since there will be death, this disciple wants to die with peace of mind. Qinxingyu, you old man. Granny Ji almost scolded behind him. Ga. The golden eagle also flew up at this time, and laughed mockingly. Is this the legendary shamelessness? Qin Xingyu, what do you mean? Jiang Yiming frowned and asked curiously. You want to use the Chongling princess to threaten this old man? Senior Jiang, this Qin does not dare to say any threats. Qin Xingyu seemed to have a card up his sleeve. The Chongling princess is the bait to kill Xiao Hua, and also the last royal family of Jiang country. Her importance must be self-evident. If this Qin tightens his grip, and the Chongling princess loses her life, won't your calculations all be in vain? Senior Jiang, this Qin is just an itinerant cultivator of the Dao sect. As long as this Qin goes out, I will immediately give the Chongling princess to Senior. You can do whatever you want with her. Ha ha ha. Jiang Yiming laughed and waved his hand. Qin Xingyu, the one who is in vain is you. This Chongling princess is someone the monarch wants to kill. If you kill her, this old man and the others don't have to dirty our hands. Also, you killed the Chongling princess. Since Xiao Hua is not at Black Wind Ridge, he naturally does not know. He still has to return to Black Wind Ridge. The Chongling princess is bait, it has nothing to do with the Chongling princess' life or death. Chapter 3507. Good. Qin Xingyu sneered. He reached out and grabbed the Chongling princess' neck. He shouted, since you say so, this Qin will crush Chongling to death. Whatever. Jiang Yiming was a man of few words. He waved his hand and retreated dozens of feet as though he was afraid the Chongling princess' blood would splash on him. A vicious light flashed through Qin Xingyu's eyes. He said with a smile, Who are you bluffing? You think this Qin does not dare? As he spoke, his hand tightened. The Chongling princess, who had been silent all this time and seemed to have lost her heart, suddenly turned green. Thief, you dare! With an angry roar, Yuanya, who had been accumulating his power for a long time, hurriedly urged the leopard to rush up from below without any concern for his own safety. Roar! The white lion roared, causing the space around Yuanya and the leopard to rapidly tremble. The leopard was so scared that it pissed its pants and hurriedly flew down. Yuanya anxiously cried out on the leopard, but even if he was angry, what could he do? His cultivation was simply too far away from that of these monsters. Granny Ji and the others were also ashen-faced. They had pinned all their hopes on Qin Xingyu and helped him to defend against the enemy. They had never expected that in the end, Qin Xingyu would betray them and turn his back on them. Looking around Qin Xingyu, no, in the entire Black Wind Ridge, other than the enemy, there was no one else who could subdue Qin Xingyu. Was the Chongling princess going to be crushed to death by Qin Xingyu? Old Master Xiao. The people of Jiang country had never yearned for Xiao Hua's appearance more than now. Maybe only Xiao Hua could resolve the present deadlock. Whoosh. Just as everyone's hearts turned to ash, an inexplicable ripple came from Qin Xingyu's arm. A flame appeared strangely. Who? Qin Xingyu was shocked, his heart contracting. He immediately thought of a possibility. Other than Xiao Hua, whom he had never met, who could appear strangely at such a dangerous time? Understanding, Qin Xingyu's hand loosened. No matter how bold he was, he did not dare to crush the Chongling princess to death in front of Xiao Hua, who had not appeared. Rumble. Just as Qin Xingyu loosened his grip, a fireball appeared. Then, the surrounding heaven-earth essence qi suddenly gathered. Moreover, as the heaven-earth essence qi swarmed, several flames appeared not far in front of Jiang Yiming, White Lion, Golden Condor, and the other demons of Mo Yun Ridge and Lion Mountain. Ah! Qin Xingyu was very close to the fireball. The fireball violently exploded. In the light, Qin Xingyu screamed. Golden light flashed around him. His right arm holding the Chongling princess dimmed and blood flew. Qin Xingyu's right arm was blown off by the fireball. As Qin Xingyu's arm was blown off, ripples of water blue light appeared in the light of the fireball. A thin old man in Daoist robes and a circular talisman appeared. The water blue light came from the talisman. However, this light was quickly extinguished in the light of the fireball. The explosion of the fireball charged past the talisman and blasted the old man's back into a bloody mess. The old man's body was pushed by the force of the fireball towards the Changling princess like a falling leaf. The Changling princess had lost her will to live under this unpredictable person's heart. But the next change happened in a flash. Before she could think, the old man spread his arms and used his body to protect her. Looking at the face that was coming closer, the familiar wrinkles, the dry lips, and the two white mustaches, wasn't this Xiao Jian? However, at this moment, Xiao Jian's originally turbid eyes were filled with concern and determination. Xiao Jian's decisiveness turned into gratification, but this gratification disappeared as he closed his eyes. Xiao Jian, fellow immortal Xiao. The Changling princess was puzzled but did not dare to be negligent. She hurriedly reached out and pulled the unconscious Xiao Jian into her arms. But the fireball was really powerful. Xiao Jian blocked the heat wave that was charging at the Changling princess, but the power was still there. The Changling princess could not resist at all. Under the enormous force, she floated down. Looking around, countless scorching waves of fire were rolling. Not only did the demons of Emoyun Ridge and Lion Rock retreat in fear, even someone as strong as Jiang Yiming did not dare to be negligent. He leaped high into the air. The moment the fireball appeared, Jiang Yiming was shocked. He thought that Xiao Hua had appeared. But when he saw Xiao Jian's figure in the fire, he was reassured. Xiao Jian must have used an invisibility seal to prepare to escape. But he had not expected Qin Xingyu to hold the Changling princess hostage. So Xiao Jian had to give up on escaping and use the fireball seal to save the Changling princess. However, Jiang Yiming did not understand. Since Xiao Jian had an invisibility seal, why did Qin Xingyu not? Since Qin Xingyu knew Xiao Jian had an invisibility seal, why did he not guard against Xiao Jian? Especially, why was this fireball seal so powerful? Of course, these questions were nothing in Jiang Yiming's mind. Both Xiao Jian and Qin Xingyu were not worth mentioning in Jiang Yiming's eyes. No matter what they did, as long as they did not escape Black Wind Ridge, they could do whatever they wanted. Therefore, when he saw the Changling princess land with Xiao Jian and meet up with Granny Ji and the others, Yuanya punched the leopard and did his best to get close to the Changling princess. The golden condor and white lion were forced into a sorry state by the fireballs. He smiled faintly. Then, the physical energy in his body moved. He opened his mouth and recited the 100 classics. Waves of vast energy roared and fell from the sky. In a moment, it extinguished all the flames within 100 zhang of him. After the flames disappeared, Qin Xingyu's slightly stooped figure appeared. At this time, Qin Xingyu had used the previous chaos to fly dozens of feet, wanting to escape Jiang Yiming's encirclement. Seeing his tracks exposed, Qin Xingyu's unusually pale face showed a hint of embarrassment. Elder Jiang. Qin Xingyu thought for a moment and said, "You also saw that this Qin was forced to do something beyond my ability. They do not trust me at all. The matter of Black Wind Ridge has nothing to do with this Qin." A hint of mockery flashed through Jiang Yiming's eyes. He looked up and down at Qin Xingyu's disheveled appearance. In order to escape, he did not even have time to clean up the blood on his body. Then he said coolly, "Qin Xingyu, this path is blocked. You should turn back." "Elder." Qin Xingyu pleaded. "This Qin swears that from now on, I will not ask about the matters of the Dao sect. I will only focus on cultivation. Jiang country, no, the Dao sect of the hidden immortal continent has nothing to do with this Qin. Go back." Jiang Yiming waved his hand. A wave of vast energy passed. Qin Xingyu saw that he could not block it and could only fly back. Fortunately, Jiang Yiming did not mean to make things difficult for Qin Xingyu. This wave of vast energy only brushed past Qin Xingyu's head. The golden eagle was obviously very angry that Qin Xingyu could escape from its encirclement. When it saw Qin Xingyu flying down, it spread its wings. The golden feathers that were messed up by the fireball talisman flashed and rushed towards Qin Xingyu. Let him go back. Jiang Yuming waved his hand. A wave of vast energy condensed into an invisible wall of qi in front of the golden eagle. The golden eagle was caught off guard and was actually knocked down in midair. The golden eagle made a clear "ga" sound. It seemed very angry and said angrily, "Jiang Yuming, what right do you?" Boom. A wave of vast energy came. The golden eagle was hit and kept rolling in the air. Only a few feathers were still floating in the air. Jiang Yuming's figure slowly disappeared. His cold voice stayed in the same place. "You are just a flat bird. Don't forget your identity. If you were not still useful, this old man would kill you on the spot." The golden eagle was knocked down and blood flowed out of its beak. White Lion and the others did not dare to be negligent. Although they did not dare to retreat from here, they were already far away and surrounded the people of Black Wind Ridge. Standing in midair, Qin Xingyu was in an awkward situation. Earlier, his order to Qin Xiaoyao was rejected, and Qin Xiaoyao stepped back for tens of feet. There were nearly 100 people who moved with Qin Xiaoyao. These disciples and Dao soldiers were far away from Qin Jian's fire talisman, so they weren't affected too much. But the disciples who stayed behind to listen to Qin Xingyu were slightly troublesome. In the explosion of the fire talisman, a dozen of them were injured. Right now, they were as bad as Qin Xingyu. Although they had rested for a while and were standing in the air, they probably couldn't stay together with the people of Black Wind Ridge. Qin Xingyu's gaze swept across the formation of the Golden Eagle, White Lion, and the others. Then he looked at Granny Ji and the others who were protecting the Chongling princess and retreating. His face was ferocious. But he clapped his hand and put several pills into his mouth. His face immediately flushed red. He sneered and said, "You Confucian cultivators have a good plan. You want to watch the show from the side. Good, this old man will let you watch. This old man will turn Black Wind Ridge into a sea of blood. Let's see what good show you can watch." As he spoke, he raised his hand and shouted, "Disciples, Dao soldiers, follow this old man, kill. Sect uncle, sect uncle." Seeing Qin Xingyu go crazy, Qin Xiaoyao was shocked. At this time in Black Wind Ridge, Qin Xingyu was the strongest. Who could be his match? Even if there were hundreds and thousands of demons, in the eyes of an early Jindan cultivator, they were not even a dish. Qin Xiaoyao shouted and wanted to persuade Qin Xingyu. Unfortunately, Qin Xingyu didn't give Qin Xiaoyao a chance to speak at all. He made a spell with both hands, and within a few feet of Qin Xiaoyao, a silvery white brilliance shone brightly. Streaks of light like spears appeared and pierced towards Qin Xiaoyao. It was Qin Xingyu's best technique, the golden spear technique. Qin Xiaoyao's expression changed greatly. He did not expect Qin Xingyu to change his face faster than flipping a book. He was the first to attack a junior disciple. He quickly rubbed his hands and opened his mouth. A fire bead the size of a thumb shot out. Chapter 3508. The fire bead immediately turned into a crimson wall of fire to protect Qin Xiaoyao. But before the wall of fire formed, hundreds of silver white spears were thrown over like hundreds of giants. The sound of them breaking through the air was ear-piercing. Qin Xiaoyao was not strong to begin with. He could not even block Tong Zhuguo's killing immortal crossbow, much less the spears of these Jindan cultivators. Pew pew. Dozens of spears easily passed through the wall of fire and came close to Qin Xiaoyao. Qin Xiaoyao's face was ashen, but there was no regret in his eyes. Instead, there was a kind of relief. This relief was the relief of being forgiven. While Qin Xiaoyao's gaze was not on the Chongling princess fleeing towards Black Wind Ridge, the princess and even Granny Ji looked at Qin Xiaoyao without the disdain and rejection from before. "Oh." At this moment, a very surprised voice suddenly sounded. "What's going on?" This voice sounded a little ethereal, but it was also loud and clear. The entire Black Wind Ridge could hear it clearly. Following this voice, thousands of tiny threads of lightning suddenly appeared in the air around Qin Xiaoyao. There were not many threads of lightning, and they did not look strong. But where the threads of lightning passed, the thousands of golden spears were immediately shattered. The threads of lightning wrapped around the silver-white fragments. In a blink, the fragments turned back into pure primal energies of the universe. Shao. Elder Shao. Qin Xiaoyao was naturally overjoyed at being reborn. He looked around in disbelief, his voice filled with an indescribable hope. Xiaohua. Qin Xingyu saw his spell easily defeated by the lightning. His expression changed, he was filled with regret and bitterness in his mouth. He really did not understand why his luck was so tragic. What to do? Qin Xingyu's mind spun rapidly. He hurriedly sent out his consciousness towards the source of the voice. But his consciousness was immediately cut off after scanning 100 feet. He could not go very far. Old Master. This is Old Master. Old Master is back. Boy, kill. The black bear spirit was the happiest. When he heard Xiaohua's voice, he immediately shouted. The demons of the Black Wind Ridge had no time to watch Qin Xingyu's despicable performance. They were originally in a state of exhaustion and had gradually slipped into a disadvantageous position. However, when they heard the black bear spirit's roar, it was more effective than any elixir. The weapons in their hands danced in the air, and their momentum was like a rainbow. Kill. The demons of Black Wind Ridge were like this, and the soldiers of Jianghu country were even more excited. In this period of fighting, they had suffered many losses, and were almost unable to resist the birds flying in the sky. Hearing Xiaohua's voice, they all fought with their lives. Granny Ji and the others were overjoyed. As they protected the Chongling princess, they urged their horses to charge at the demons of Mo Yun Ridge. The most ridiculous thing was still the leopard. Previously, no matter how Yuanya punched and kicked it did not dare to fly into the air. At this time, it also let out a long roar and turned into a flying shadow, carrying Yuanya to the beast at the foot of the mountain. However, just as it started to fly, it was punched by Yuanya again. Only then did it turn around and charge at the Chongling princess. At this time, Qin Xiaoyao seemed to think of something and hurriedly shouted, Elder Shao. The Black Wind Ridge has an ambush from the Copper Pillar State. But his words did not travel far. Boom boom boom. Dark clouds covered the Black Wind Ridge, and wild winds blew. Countless bolts of lightning crashed down like a heavenly river. Awoo awoo. Between the flashes of lightning, the thousands of birds of Mo Yun Ridge that had been arrogant before were struck down by the heavenly lightning. Other than the scattered feathers in the air, there was only the fragrance of roasted birds. Ga. The golden eagle was shocked. It had seen powerful cultivators, and righteous Confucian cultivators, but it had never seen such a powerful move. There were over 1,000 of them. They were killed by this cultivator called Xiaohua without even showing his face. What cultivation did this Xiaohua have? Before the golden condor could escape, another wave of the Daoist spell that it had seen before flashed in midair. Then, it saw layers of flames appearing above the heads of the ferocious beasts on Lion Rock. Then, it swooped down. Roar, roar. The ferocious beasts screamed in agony. No one cared about fighting with the Black Wind Ridge demons anymore. They either rolled on the ground to extinguish the flames, or formed demonic clouds under their feet and rushed into the air to escape. Go! Baishe had been moved. With a soft roar, the Yao clouds under his feet moved, and he had already charged dozens of feet. Damn it! The golden eagle cursed in its heart. It seemed to be half a beat slower than Baishe every time. But fortunately, its flying speed was fast enough. With a flap of its wings, it immediately caught up with Baishe. Just as they had fled a few hundred meters away, a thunderous rumble resounded through the sky. A tall and skinny human figure stepped on heavenly lightning and flew over at a speed faster than lightning. His voice that was even louder than thunder rumbled through the Black Wind Ridge. After causing so much trouble to my Black Wind Ridge, you still want to leave? Before the voice died away, the golden eagle and Baishir's eyes blurred. They did not notice anything at all. The two figures had already landed in the sky above Black Wind Ridge. The golden eagle and Baishir looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with shock. This kind of magical power that could teleport them dozens of feet without them noticing had long exceeded their understanding. Almost at the same time, the two of them knelt in the air and shouted, "Master, please spare us." The two so-called Golden Eagle King and Myriad Lion King did not resist at all and just knelt down. The demons of Mo Yun Ridge and Lion Rock were even worse. They had long been scared witless by the heavenly lightning and the burning of their bodies. Now, they no longer dared to care about their injuries. They all knelt on the ground and shouted, "Master, please spare us." "Humph." The black bear spirit snorted and said angrily, "Is Master's name something you can easily call out?" His words were filled with pride and arrogance. In a moment, the thin figure in the sky had already flown to the sky above the Black Wind mountain range. After the lightning dissipated, his true appearance was revealed. Xiao Hua's appearance was a few years older, but he looked more mature, and the majesty between his brows was even more prominent. Anyone who looked at him would feel a sense of fear, and a kind of reverence would spontaneously arise. "Master, you have returned." The black bear spirit was carefree and showed off in front of people. He flew to Xiao Hua's right hand and bowed proudly. Xiao Hua nodded slightly and said, "This old man has returned. Black Bear, you have worked hard." Seeing Xiao Hua give him face, the black bear spirit was even happier. He did not dare to rise and said, "This one is unworthy," and did not gain face for Master. "In the end, I still have to rely on Master's methods." Xiao Hua responded and looked away. The people of Jiang country escorted the Chongling princess and flew to Xiao Hua's hand. They all bowed respectfully and said, "Welcome Master back to the mountain. You have worked hard." "What is going on with Xiao Jian?" Xiao Hua frowned slightly. His Buddhist consciousness had come too late and did not see the situation. The Chongling princess looked worriedly at Xiao Jian, who was still unconscious and covered in blood. She recounted what had happened previously. Sigh. When Xiao Hua heard this, he sucked in a breath of cold air. His heart was also filled with lingering fear. If Qin Xingyu really succeeded, not to mention that Jianghu would no longer exist, even his own face would be lost. Wouldn't everything he said earlier be for naught? Xiao Hua's eyes narrowed slightly. He swept a glance at Qin Xingyu and the hundreds of Daoist soldiers and disciples around him, and then looked at Qin Xiaoyao. At this time, Qin Xiaoyao flew over with hundreds of disciples and Daoist soldiers. Seeing Xiao Hua look at him, he hurriedly bowed and said, "Disciple Qin Xiaoyao greets." "Master." "Disciple thanks Master for saving my life." Was what Chongling said true? Xiao Hua's expression did not change as he asked coolly. Qin Xiaoyao did not dare to speak and hurriedly answered, "What Her Highness the Princess said is true." "Then, how do you think Qin Xingyu should be dealt with?" Xiao Hua asked directly. "This." Qin Xiaoyao stilled. He was tongue-tied and did not dare to speak. Xiao Hua saw Qin Xiaoyao hesitate and immediately moved him to the side. He raised his hand and took out a jade bottle. He gave it to Yuanya and said, "Yuanya, feed this pill medicine to your master." "Yes, Master." Yuanya saw Xiao Hua was awe-inspiring and was no longer the Xiao Hua who could stand shoulder to shoulder with him on the streets of Longevity Town. He took the jade bottle and hurriedly answered. After Xiao Jian had fainted, he had been watched over by the female generals of Jiang country. Only now did he dare to give it to Yuanya. Seeing Xiao Jian take the pill medicine, Xiao Hua smiled and pointed. When did Xiao Jian's abilities improve greatly? He can predict the future. First, he stole this seat's invisibility talisman and fire talisman from Lu Yi. Hee, Master, this little one knows. The black bear spirit at the side hurriedly said with a smile, "This is not Xiao Jian's ability, but Lu Gu's arrangement." Lu Yi. Xiao Hua was startled. He raised his head to look at the mountain ridge, where Lu Yi was already kneeling on the ground, as if he was welcoming him. Master. At this time, Qin Xiaoyao spoke up. You old man. Didn't you hear your disciple's voice? Outside the Black Wind Ridge, there is a great formation set up by Confucian cultivators. We are bait, and our lives are as light as grass. How can you take the risk? Heh heh. Xiao Hua sneered, disdain appearing on the corner of his mouth. He raised his head to look at the sky, where a faint five-colored brilliance was flowing, and said, Let me tell you, on this Black Wind Ridge, every person, every demon's life is not light. Even if I know that this is bait, that there is a trap here, I will still come. Thank you, Master. Everyone knelt down, their hearts filled with an indescribable warmth. Besides, it's just a child's play. How can it do anything to me? Xiao Hua laughed again. He raised his hand and everyone stood up. We will only chat here. We will talk after they set up the formation. Chapter 3509. Yes, we will rely on Old Master for everything. Everyone saw Xiao Hua so calm and felt even more confident. Xiao Hua beckoned with his hand. Lu Yi, kneeling on the ground, flew in front of Xiao Hua. Lu Yi did not dare to get up and kowtowed. Disciple Lu Yi greets Old Master. Disciple did not manage the residence well and caused such trouble. Old Master will punish me. No need to be so careful. Xiao Hua said with a smile. You did well. This seat will give you a surprise later. However, tell this old man, how did you know Qin Xingyu would kidnap the Chongling princess? Lu Yi's face was bashful as he said in a low voice, Allow this little one to report this matter to Old Master alone in the future. Oh. Good. Xiao Hua smiled and then looked up. He took out a bottle of pills and flew it in front of Lu Yi. Get up. You did well. Today, you did the best. This pill is for you. When you learn the method in the future, you can take it. Lu Yi was so clever. Hearing Xiao Hua say, when you learn the method in the future, how could he not know that Xiao Hua had found a method for him to cultivate? Excitement appeared on his face. He carefully took the jade bottle and hid it on his body before bowing again. Qin Xiaoyao. Xiao Hua suddenly asked, Do you mind the question this seat asked you just now? Seeing Xiao Hua act so swiftly and decisively, his train of thought also jumping around, Qin Xiaoyao clenched his teeth and knelt down in midair, saying, Master, disciple knows that martial uncle Qin committed an unpardonable crime, but disciple also committed a serious crime that day. Since old master can pardon this disciple, why can't you forgive Qin Shushu? He was just muddle-headed under the attack of the enemy and made the wrong choice. Now that our Dao sect is in decline, one person killed is one less. This disciple asks old master to be magnanimous and allow Qin Shushu to redeem himself. Old master, you cannot. Granny Ji had not known Xiao Hua for long, but she was familiar with Xiao Hua's soft-hearted nature. She hurriedly shouted that Qin Xingyu was the strongest cultivator of Black Wind Ridge at the time. He wanted to kidnap Her Highness the Princess and use her safety to exchange for his life. He even wanted to kill Her Highness the Princess when the enemy could not tolerate it. In addition, he didn't care about fellow disciples at all. As soon as he had time, he immediately attacked his own martial nephew. If it weren't for the return of the master, fellow Daoist Qin would have already died. How could someone who was worse than a beast be a disciple of the Dao sect? Leaving him alive is a disgrace to the Dao sect and a thorn in the flesh of my Black Wind Ridge. If Master is unable to distinguish between rewards and punishments, I'm afraid it won't be fair in the future. Master, please make a decision. Master. When Qin Xingyu heard this from afar, he hurriedly knelt down in the air and cried out, Please spare my life, Master. I will follow your orders for the rest of my life and will never have any other thoughts. Old Master. Granny Ji wanted to say something, but when she saw Xiao Hua frown slightly, the Chongling princess hurriedly scolded, Granny, just say this. Everything will be decided by Master. But Granny G wanted to say something but stopped. She bit her lip and lowered her head. The black bear spirit was next to Lu Yi at this time. He raised his foot and kicked Lu Yi, indicating for Lu Yi to speak. But Lu Yi didn't seem to notice and stood there silently. The other people of Black Wind Ridge knew their status was low and didn't dare to speak. On the mountain ridge, the bear spirits of Black Wind Ridge looked at the spirits on the ground that had been killed by the heavenly lightning and fire. They swallowed and didn't dare to move, waiting for Xiao Hua's decision. "Qin Xingyu, don't think about getting lucky," Xiao Hua said coolly. "You are a disciple of the Dao sect, but you don't deserve to be a human. Since you don't deserve to be a human, what are you living for? Since you are a disciple of the Dao sect, you can kill yourself." Wu. Xiao Hua had just finished speaking when he saw Qin Xingyu's body flashing with an intense golden light. Streams of Jin Qi were like small snakes coming out from his mouth and nose. Qin Xingyu's body flashed and flew towards the distance. As Qin Xingyu flew, the brilliance around his body became even brighter, just like an extremely sharp flying sword. "Do you want to escape?" Xiao Hua smiled faintly. "Even if you have 10 more gold cores, you can burn them all and turn them into swords. How can you escape from my hands?" While speaking, Xiao Hua waved his right hand, and a huge palm appeared in midair. It was several times faster than Qin Xingyu's, and in a moment, it grabbed Qin Xingyu. No matter how Qin Xingyu struggled, he couldn't break free. "Even if I don't do it, do you think you can escape from the formation of the Confucian cultivators?" Xiao Hua looked at Qin Xingyu and said word by word, "In front of you, there is only a dead end. However, instead of letting the Confucian cultivators kill you, let me send you on your way. I have a merciful heart, but that doesn't mean I won't kill. Because you deserve to die, I don't mind staining my hands with blood." After he finished speaking, the big hand moved slightly. Qin Xingyu struggled with all his strength, as if he was going to explode his gold core. However, under the power of the big hand, his true qi could not flow at all. Under the huge force, blood splattered and Qin Xingyu was crushed to death. Immediately after, Xiao Hua retracted his technique and Qin Xingyu's corpse fell from the sky. Everyone was shocked. Xiao Hua said indifferently, "You reap what you sow, you reap what you sow, everyone has their own karma. Don't think too much about others." "Yes, disciple understands." Qin Xiaoyao knew that this was for him and hurriedly bowed. The other Taoist disciples didn't do evil. "Please spare my life, master." "Well, they are all your disciples. You can decide for yourself." Xiao Hua waved his hand. The hundreds of frightened disciples and Taoist soldiers were overjoyed and hurriedly bowed down to thank him. The internal affairs of the Black Wind Ridge have been dealt with. Xiao Hua raised his head and looked at the sky. The 5-colored brilliance had turned into 5-colored auspicious clouds and was still dancing in the air. There were no signs of it descending. He said, "Since the formation masters haven't finished their work, let's look at other things. Master, spare my life, spare my life." The golden eagle and white lion had been waiting by the side. Hearing Xiao Hua's words, they hurriedly begged for mercy. Xiao Hua smiled and asked, "Strange. You led a group of subordinates to invade my Black Wind Ridge and kill my disciples. Why should I spare you?" "Master," the Golden Eagle said pitifully, "although we are called Golden Eagle King and Thousand Lion King, we are actually the same as the Black Wind King. We are all pitiful characters. Others don't know how hard we worked, but how can the Black Bear Spirit not know? At first, we thought that we were the kings of the Black Cloud Ridge and were very proud of ourselves. But when Master came, so many things happened. Only then did we realize that we were just the pretense of others and were used by others. You can ask the Black Bear Spirit. We have coexisted peacefully for so many years. Who bullied him? If we weren't forced by others this time, why would we invade the Black Wind Ridge? Also. The White Lion hurriedly shouted from the side, "We surrounded the Black Wind Ridge for so long and didn't attack heavily. In fact, We didn't injure many of the Black Wind Ridge's subordinates. We don't deserve to die." Hearing the words, "don't deserve to die," coming from the mouth of the Thousand Lion King, everyone couldn't help but laugh. This really sounded ridiculous. However, the Black Bear Spirit's eyes darted around. His gaze swept across the Black Wind Ridge. When he saw that most of the beasts of Mo Yun Ridge and Lion Rock were injured and not many were killed, he immediately understood that Xiao Hua didn't have the intention to eliminate them. Then, he thought about what Xiao Hua said and came up with a plan. He casually took half a step forward and bowed. "Master, this little one has a few words, but I don't know if I should say them." Feel free to speak," Xiao Hua said with a smile. "Master," the Black Bear Spirit pointed at the two demons and said, "This little one is the same as the two demon kings. We both occupy mountains and call ourselves kings. No one understands their hardships better than this little one. We don't have a choice. Actually, I won't hide it from Master. If Master forced this little one to attack Mo Yun Ridge and Lion Rock, even if this little one didn't want to go, under Master's strict orders, this little one wouldn't dare to disobey." When did this lord do such a thing?" Xiao Hua laughed and scolded. Seeing Xiao Hua laugh, the Black Bear Spirit understood even more. He said, "There's no need to say that the two demon kings don't deserve to die. After all, we are all demons and have killed countless people. However, Master, now is the time to use people. The two demon kings are useless, but they have thousands of subordinates. This little one is afraid that I can't take care of all of them. Why don't you spare their lives and help me restrain my subordinates? This way, won't the entire Black Cloud Ridge belong to Master?" Yes, this little one will definitely listen to the Black Wind King's orders and guard the Black Cloud Ridge for Master." Hearing the Black Bear Spirit's words, the Golden Eagle and White Lion understood that he was taking advantage of the situation. However, they didn't dare to disobey. They hurriedly kowtowed and said, "But Master, please spare our lives." Yes, the Black Bear Spirit's words make sense. Xiao Hua nodded to himself. Then, he stretched out his hand and a dark green light flashed between his eyebrows. The Golden Eagle and White Lion felt an indescribable pain in their heads. The two demons couldn't help but roll in the air in pain. "Rise!" As Xiao Hua raised his hand, two faint shadows appeared between the eyebrows of the two demons. Xiao Hua then grabbed with his hand and the two shadows instantly shrunk to the size of a mung bean. Immediately after, two pieces of jade floated in the air. Xiao Hua flicked his two hands and rays of light appeared from the jade pieces. They were so bright that it caused everyone to squint their eyes. Puff, puff. Suddenly, the two pieces of jade shined brightly and lit up at the same time. A moment later, the two pieces of jade melted into two balls of liquid. This liquid was no longer just jade, it was mixed with a trace of scarlet. Xiao Hua suddenly raised his head and pointed his finger. The Black Bear Spirit, who was watching the show with narrowed eyes, felt pain between his eyebrows. Before he could cry out in pain, 2 drops of blood had been flicked by Xiao Hua and landed in the jade liquid. Sizzle. With a series of sounds, the jade liquid glowed with a green light. Chapter 35:10. Go, Xiao Hua lightly reprimanded and raised his hand. 2 green bean-sized shadows were thrown into the jade liquid. Then, Xiao Hua sent in a few more spells. Kacha, kacha, 2 crisp sounds were heard. The jade liquid condensed into 2 jade tablets. Master. The Black Bear Spirit cried bitterly. It's fine if you think these 2 deserve to die, but why are you so happy with my blood? What do you know? Xiao Hua snorted and waved his hand. Take this jade tablet. Seeing the 2 jade pendants in his hands, the Black Bear Spirit raised the jade pendants and looked at the vague shadows of the Golden Eagle and White Lion. He was puzzled and asked curiously, Master, what am I doing with this? These 2 demons were spared because you begged for mercy. I'll leave their lives to you. If they don't listen, you can crush the jade tablet at any time. Xiao Hua said coldly. Of course, if anything happens to them, I'll hold you responsible. There's no need, master. The black bear spirit's expression became even more bitter. He said pitifully, this thing is so precious. If I accidentally break it, won't I take their lives? You should keep it. Black bear. Xiao Jian, who had already woken up, reminded him, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Old master thinks highly of you. You hold the jade pendant and deliberately think that the two demons will have to do whatever you want them to do, ah? Is that so? The black bear spirit was overjoyed and hurriedly shouted, Golden Eagle, roll for me. The golden eagle was no longer in pain. Just now, it was standing in midair. When it heard the black bear spirit's words, it hesitated. But then, the pain came again. The golden eagle's face turned pale. It moved and its body trembled. It gritted its teeth and said, Black Wind King, you and I are both demon kings. In the future, White Lion and I will help you. If you treat us like this, we'd rather die. Oh. The black bear spirit's small eyes turned. Seeing the golden eagle's painful expression, he knew that Xiao Jian was right. He immediately put away the jade tablet and smiled. Brothers, it's all my fault. I just wanted to see the effects of this jade tablet. I won't try it again in the future. Brothers, as long as you treat master like I do, this jade tablet will be as good as nothing. Big brother is wrong. Golden Condor looked at White Lion and hurriedly cupped his hands. Among the three heads of Black Cloud Ridge, the Black Wind King is the leader, I'm third, and White Lion is second. If the three of us work together, we will definitely be able to protect the Black Cloud Ridge. White Lion smiled and also bowed, saying, Third brother is right. Although Big Brother's cultivation is low now, with Master's help, it won't be long before he becomes our leader. I'm sorry. The black bear spirit's mouth was wide open. The corners of his mouth were all the way to the back of his head. He cupped his fists in return. Go and pack up. From today onwards, Black Cloud Ridge will belong to you three brothers. Xiao Hua waved his hand. I can guarantee that as long as all of you are obedient, not to mention Black Cloud Ridge, even the entire hidden immortal continent will become famous. Yes, we understand. The three demon kings were overjoyed. After hastily bowing, they descended from the clouds and reorganized their subordinates. Xiao Jian had already recovered from his injuries after receiving Xiao Hua's elixir. He walked forward and bowed. Disciple thanks Master for saving my life. Xiao Hua sized up Xiao Jian. He was actually rather puzzled. Xiao Jian had always been very selfish, why would he take the risk because of Lu Yi's words? However, after thinking about it, in the entire Black Wind Ridge, other than Xiao Jian, Lu Yi couldn't find a reliable Daoist cultivator who could use invisibility talismans and fire talismans. Fortunately, Xiao Jian didn't let Lu Yi down. Xiao Jian could be considered to have made a great contribution. You did well. Xiao Jian, I have a whole new level of respect for you. Xiao Hua nodded. In the future, if you encounter any difficulties in your cultivation, you can come find me. If there are no accidents, getting a golden core or nascent soul cultivator isn't a big deal. Xiao Jian didn't have any excitement on his face. He seemed to believe Xiao Hua's words without any doubt. He bowed and said, Disciple thanks Master for taking care of me. What's the progress of your plan to restore the Black Cloud Ridge? Xiao Hua stood in the air and didn't return to his residence. He actually treated the swaying clouds in the air like they were nothing and asked. Xiao Jian looked at the Chongling princess. The two nodded slightly. Xiao Jian spoke again. Disciple and the others are almost done with their plans. Only Master is left to come back and take charge. Someone like Qin Qingyu? Xiao Hua asked with interest. This is all Disciple's fault. Qin Xiaoyao hurriedly said from the side. In order to increase the power of Black Wind Ridge, disciple, could only invite disciple's sect uncle to come and hold the fort. But I didn't expect, and none of you are wrong, it's this seat's fault. Xiao Hua nodded. He liked Qin Xiaoyao's responsibility even more. This seat had some important matters and couldn't come back in time. That's right, go and look for that second imperial tutor. What's his name again? If you find out whether he's dead or alive, I'll go and look for him. If I'm not around in the future, at least there'll be someone to support you. The second imperial preceptor of Jiang country is Li Xiang, Li Zhenren. Qin Xiaoyao hurriedly answered. This disciple heard that he was captured by the Copper Pillar country. The Changling princess explained from the side. To let master know, Li Zhenren listens to the imperial preceptor, but is unfamiliar with the imperial family of Jiang country. This junior doesn't know much about this elder. All right, return to the residence. If you need to discuss, discuss. If you need to act, act. Xiao Hua waved his hand. Everyone bowed and saluted. Only Lu Yi was left in the air. He could not fly and waited by Xiao Hua's side. Lu Yi. Xiao Hua waved his hand and used a silent spell. He said, now you can speak. How did you know that Qin Xingyu was going to act against the Changling princess? Did you personally give Xiao Jian's invisibility seal and fire seal to him? Facing Xiao Hua, Lu Yi naturally didn't dare to conceal anything. He explained the cause of the matter in detail, causing Xiao Hua to be somewhat dumbstruck. It was very simple because Lu Yi could feel what others were thinking. When Qin Xingyu was discussing with everyone in the residence, Lu Yi had sensed his desire for the Changling princess from Qin Xingyu's heart. But he was not sure and did not dare to expose it. He could only take the chance to leave the residence and call out the Black Bear spirit. Lu Yi naturally would not tell the Black Bear spirit the truth. He only said what would happen if Qin Xingyu, the cultivator with the highest cultivation, had no one to restrict him. Of course, the Black Bear spirit had no other choice. He could only blink his eyes helplessly. However, when Lu Yi took out the invisibility talisman and fire talisman left behind by Xiao Hua, the Black Bear spirit came up with an idea. He was a demon and did not cultivate any Dao techniques. Of course, he could not use them. Lu Yi was not at ease with Xiao Jian. He feared Xiao Jian would take the chance to run. Otherwise, he would have taken out these things long ago. But here, for the safety of the Changling princess, Lu Yi could only gamble. Coincidentally, Xiao Jian came to find Lu Yi. Lu Yi took the chance to speak of his worries. Xiao Jian did not take it seriously and agreed. After Qin Xingyu landed on the horse of the Jiang soldiers, he activated the invisibility seal under Lu Yi's urging and hid near the Changling princess. The development of the matter was as Lu Yi had expected. If Xiao Jian had not stopped her, the Changling princess would have died. Xiao Hua listened to Lu Yi and nodded slightly. Yes, this is your talent. You do not need to tell others. This old man will keep the secret for you. Cultivate the Dao art first, and when the time is ripe, I'll pass down another Buddhist sect divine ability to you. It's called the heart connection, and I presume it'll bring back your extraordinary talent to the extreme. Many thanks, old master. Lu Yi was overjoyed. And, can you sense what this old man is thinking? Xiao Hua suddenly asked. He, old master is thinking too much. Lu Yi said with a smile. When this little one saw old master that day, I was seriously injured and could not sense what old master was thinking. When this little one got the river tide temple, this little one tried and could only sense that old master was a good person and would not harm this little one and little Yun. But this little one does not know what old master is thinking. Also, to tell old master the truth, this perception is not accurate. Also, sensing danger is more useful than other senses. When this little one was young, this little one relied on this to avoid many dangers. And, this old man knows. Xiao Hua nodded. He looked at the dark clouds in the sky and sneered. Damn it, this old man has waited for so long. Why is it not set up yet? Relying on this, you dare to fight this old man? If this old man did not want to use you to establish power, you would not have the time to set up the formation. Old master, do not be careless. Lu Yi reminded. The Confucian cultivators did not set up this formation in a day or two. Now that old master has returned, they have not moved. They must be planning to hit with one blow. It is more than one blow. They are going to wipe us all out. Xiao Hua sneered. They even want to kill the demons of Mo Yun Ridge and Lion Rock. In a while, you will pass down this old man's order and let all the demons enter the formation. Ah. Lu Yi turned pale with fright. He did not have time to agree and hurriedly shouted. Old master, you must be careful. No matter, this is a good opportunity to cleanse the Black Cloud Ridge with this formation. This will save this old man the trouble. Xiao Hua waved his hand and smiled. Oh, by the way, come with this old man. This old man found you a junior brother. You can teach him some language of the hidden immortal continent. Junior brother? Lu Yi beamed with joy. Old master just happens to be lacking a boy. Now, one on the left and one on the right is just right. I still lack a girl. Xiao Hua rolled his eyes and said snappily. Why don't you find little Yun and make her a jade girl? Lu Yi's brows slightly darkened. However, he smiled and said, if old master is like this little one will thank old master even more. Xiao Hua stretched out his hand and flicked Lu Yi's head with his finger. He scolded with a smile, wishful thinking. You should just obediently be a boy. Lu Yi stuck out his tongue, a naughty look on his face. Chapter 35:11. Immediately, Xiao Hua flicked his sleeves and brought Lu Yi into the cave like a breeze. Above the clouds, Jiang Yuming and a dozen white-haired old Confucians were standing in midair. In front of them was an oval mirror, which allowed them to clearly see the situation of Xiao Hua and the others. Seeing Xiao Hua so calm and unhurried, everyone was so angry that they almost vomited blood. Especially the few old Confucians, their hands were trembling. One of them even cried out, Yuming, how can you be so patient? This little bastard clearly knows that the great formation has been completed, yet he still arrogantly handles the affairs here. This is clearly a provocation. Quickly, activate the great formation. Let's see if our noble Qi will not turn him into mincemeat. Jiang Yuming's face was obviously not good. He hurriedly cupped his hands and said, Senior brothers, granduncles, don't be anxious. This Xiao Hua's methods are really amazing. Didn't you see? He waved his hand and we couldn't see anything. His magic power is clearly higher than mine. That soul-sucking technique is clearly something a 4th grade cultivator can do. Moreover, the lightning drawing technique and the lightning escape technique are both things that ordinary Daoist cultivators can't do. If my Jiang clan becomes his enemy, there is absolutely a possibility that both sides will suffer. Now, the Copper Pillar country's monarch has spent a lot of effort to invite 4 great scholars to come and set up the 5 brocade cloud diagram with my Jiang clan. This is clearly a country's strength to resist Xiao Hua. My Jiang clan only needs to follow the 5 brocade cloud diagram and activate the noble Qi. That Xiao Hua is definitely not the opponent of the cloud diagram. Why should my Jiang clan stand out alone? This is the 5 brocade cloud diagram? Is this the formation passed down by the immortal palace? An old scholar was shocked. Monarch, when did you have such a powerful formation? Jiang Yuming's face was filled with pride. He said with a smile, how could this junior dare to deceive granduncles? I didn't say it before because the Copper Pillar country's monarch gave strict orders. He was afraid that the news would leak and Xiao Hua wouldn't dare to enter the trap. The Copper Pillar country's monarch actually obtained the immortal palace's formation? Another old scholar was shocked and asked the same question. Then, he thought of something and said in a low voice, it seems that the monarch didn't go to war on a whim. With this formation map, what worries do we have in the world? Our bronze pillar country will definitely become famous in the hidden immortal continent and become the #1 empire in the hidden immortal continent. The old scholar from before was very impassioned as he shouted. Jiang Yuming smiled and explained, this is the secret formation of the immortal palace. It contains the secrets of the 5 Qis unification. I heard that anyone who can comprehend one of the cloud brocade will be able to ascend. This time, my Jiang clan will participate in the extermination of the Dao sect's remnants. After we succeed, we will obtain 5 chances to comprehend the secret array. Senior brothers and granduncles, please don't slack off. Yuming, don't worry. You're just a Daoist brat at the 4th level of first elemental force. Although you're abnormally arrogant, I'm afraid that you're just putting up a strong front. If you want to give us an empty fort strategy, who wouldn't be able to see through it? An old Confucian scholar laughed and said, the monarch has set up such a large array to scare the monkey by killing the chicken, to let the other countries of the hidden immortal continent see the excitement, to let them see the methods and determination of our bronze pillar state. You tell me, how can we not join in the fun? We cannot make assumptions about the king's heart. However, senior brother, please don't be careless. Jiang Yuming waved his hand and said, 2 of my Jiang clan's juniors have already fallen in the hands of Xiao Hua. One of them was even killed in front of the Bronze Pillar Academy's dean. According to that dean, this brat is very cunning. His flying technique is even more strange. After he succeeded in his attack, he immediately fled far away, making him unable to chase after him. Just now, senior brother also saw this brat's lightning movement technique. It's really impressive. It said that Bronze Pillar Academy's 100 Children book array was broken by this brat. In his hands, Daoist spells can turn something rotten into something magical. But it's all because that old thing Northguo was careless. That's why he lost face and said that this brat is so powerful. Some old Confucian scholars were disdainful and said coldly, even if he's a Daoist cultivator at the upper 4th level of elemental force, how can he be a match for you and me? If he's at the 5th level of elemental force. Once he enters the immortal palace's immortal array, he still wants to escape. Jiang Yuming was helpless. He didn't know how to convince these old Confucian scholars, so he smiled and said, let's not care about that. We'll just set up the array according to the previous drill. When the array is activated, we'll see the mystery of the immortal array. Not bad, not bad. Many old Confucian scholars clapped and laughed. Then, they patted their foreheads and dozens of water lights rushed into the sky. In the sea of clouds around them, there was also a clear chanting sound. Countless noble qi rushed into the water vapor. The abundant water vapor turned into a mighty river and rushed into the 5 brocade cloud diagram. On the other side of the sky, there was a similar array. The person in front was wearing a Confucian scholar's robe. His forehead was protruding and his face looked rather simple. In his hand was something like a jade tablet. He was very calmly looking at the depths of the sea of clouds. Next to him stood another person. This person had extremely short hair and a handsome face. It was the Bronze Pillar Academy's judge, Do Shanjun, whom Xiao Hua had previously defeated. At this moment, Do Shanjun's face was still cold. His slightly squinted eyes flashed with a trace of clear light. However, after a moment, Do Shanjun frowned and closed his eyes. After a moment, he opened his eyes and revealed a trace of doubt. He looked at the calm old man in front of him and said, Lord Academy Head, there's something this student doesn't understand. Feel free to speak. This Academy Head was the Beigozhenming that Jiang Yuming had spoken of. Hearing Do Shanjun speak, he looked away and said coolly. Do Shanjun pondered for a moment and said, in my opinion, before this Xiao Hua flew down to Black Wind Ridge, he might not have been unaware that there was a grand formation waiting for him here. But why did he still charge in without any hesitation? Even if he charged in, he had enough time to save the Chongling princess. In order to lure Xiao Hua into the formation, we did not spread out the 5 brocade cloud diagram earlier. Shanjun, don't tell me you don't have an answer to such a vulgar question. Beigozhenming smiled faintly. Of the many Confucian cultivators who set up the 5 brocade cloud diagram, only you have truly fought with Xiao Hua. How can this old man know something you do not know? Dou Shanjun shook his head slightly, a strange expression appearing on his face. He looked at the sea of clouds and sighed. While this student fought with Xiao Hua, but this student still cannot see through him. Based on this student's understanding of him, he may not have entered the formation. Back then, this student was not a match for Xiao Hua, and when the academy head appeared, he immediately fled. This fits the saying that a gentleman does not stand against a dangerous wall. Why did he change his personality today? Also, back then, 100 days ago, he did not even dare to meet the academy head. Why does he dare to face the entire formation now? Unless Xiao Hua's strength has greatly increased in these 100 days. This old man does not have to pay attention. Beigo Zhenming said with a smile, "Is this what you are puzzled about?" "That's the only possibility." Dou Shanjun nodded. "But the problem is, while the Daoist sect's abilities are heaven-defying and far from what we Confucian cultivators can compare to, his Daoist sect disciples cannot surpass him so much in such a short time. There is no such thing as possibility or impossibility in this world." Beigo Zhenming said coolly. "There is only occurrence and non-occurrence. We always thought that the Daoist sect's Xiao Hua was hiding in the formation of Black Wind Ridge. Who would have thought that he had escaped long ago? Previously, didn't you say that Xiao Hua was benevolent and would not abandon the people of Black Wind Ridge and flee? What about now? You and I are not saints. What we expect is far from the unpredictability of the world. Let's take one step at a time." Student understands. Dou Shanjun nodded and sighed. It seemed that he had a very good impression of Xiao Hua, who had defeated him. Could it be that a hero cherishes a hero in his heart? Beigo Zhenming laughed again. Dou Shanjun nodded again. He withdrew his gaze from the sea of clouds and said, "Although Xiao Hua shook my Bronze Pillar Academy and even pushed down the entrance of the academy, when the matter of the old Daoist priest of the Seven Suns Temple came to light, there really aren't many people in the academy who can complain about Xiao Hua. There aren't many people who have such courage and righteousness even among us Confucian cultivators. It's a pity that he's too conspicuous." Beigo Zhenming snorted coldly from his nose. He's just a lowly disciple of the Dao sect, yet he actually dared to leave behind a blood tablet in the Seven Suns Temple, and even offended my Bronze Pillar Academy. That's not all, he actually dared to confront the king and save the orphan of the Jianghu country. Look at what he did just now. He wanted to subdue the Golden Condor King and the Myriad Lion King, and take down the entire Black Cloud Ridge. What kind of place is the Black Cloud Ridge? The border between the Copper Pillar Country, Jianghu country, and Jia Sa country. Previously, we might not have known the significance of this Black Cloud Ridge, but now, you should understand that there is a huge elemental stone mine beneath the Black Cloud Ridge. Previously, the 3 countries had sent out a large number of troops to divide the mine underground. Those 3 monsters were merely the chess pieces of the 3 countries. Xiao Hua's actions. Isn't that the same as courting death? As for the king setting up the immortal array with such fanfare, it was more to take the Black Cloud Ridge into his own hands. Even if it's the Jia Sa country. And the other countries should not covet it. Sigh, student understands. Dou Shanjun laughed bitterly. Whether it's the emperor's technique or the dragon's technique, student is still unfamiliar with it. It's hard to think so much. Since ancient times, the academy has been a leisurely place. Your character is relatively simple, and is not suitable for the palace. Beigo Zhenming laughed. Of course, if you are willing to try, after this battle, this old man can recommend you to enter the imperial court as an official. I don't dare. Dou Shanjun anxiously waved his hand. This student admits that he does not understand the hearts of people, nor do he know the hearts of officials. If you don't enter the world, how can you come out? Shanjun, you still have to think about it more. Everyone's path is different. Students naturally have their own path, and students still like to walk on their own path. Dou Shanjun did not seem to have any intention of letting go. All right, this old man will wait and see. Beigo Zhenming smiled and shook his head. It seemed that he thought highly of this Dou Shanjun. He twirled his beard and laughed. You are my Bronze Pillar Academy's rare student. At such a young age, you were able to suppress all the other students to become a dean. This old man has deep expectations for you. After Xiaohua finished watching, auspicious clouds appeared under his feet, and he directly flew into the air. The black bear spirit in the distance very considerately knelt on the ground and shouted, "This little one respectfully sends Master off. I wish Master a triumphant return." The black bear spirit's kneeling was not important, but the golden eagle, white lion, and the other demons all knelt down. "This little one respectfully sends Master off. I wish Master a triumphant return." Their voices were like the sound of mountains, drifting in the black wind ridge. It was truly a spectacular sight. Looking at Xiaohua's hand, it seemed like he wanted to summon thunder to boost his might. Unfortunately, the sky was filled with heavy clouds. Where could the lightning be produced? Rumble. Xiaohua sneered. A green light appeared between his eyebrows, as if a deity was groaning. Layers of heavenly thunder immediately resounded above the black wind ridge, like the sound of war drums. Xiaohua flew into the air, coldly looking at the place where the bugle horn came from, only to see that the horizon was crimson like blood. Layers of red clouds surged out, diffusing towards the entire sky. When Xiaohua just stood still, there was no wind, but as the clouds moved, a gentle breeze blew up Xiaohua's clothes. The black wind that just appeared stood straight in the wind, showing a kind of unyielding spirit. Woo! As if the sky changed, a kind of violent wind suddenly rose. Following the violent wind, the sound of the bugle horn became even louder, and then, a solemn and stirring chant floated over from the distance. Grape wine in a luminous cup, if you want to drink, the pipa immediately urges you, lying drunk on the battlefield, don't laugh. Since ancient times, how many people have returned from a campaign? Golden vulture plume, embroidered with swallowtail arc alone to raise the new order, 1,000 camps cry out together. In the dark forest, the grass is frightened by the wind. The general draws his bow in the night. Looking for the white feather in the light, it is not among the stone ridges. Under the black moon, the wild goose flies high. Chanyu escapes in the night. Wanting to drive away the light cavalry, the heavy snow covers the bow and saber. Open the field, the fine banquet, the Chang tribe's congratulations are in full swing. Drunk in golden armor dance, the thunder agitates the mountains and rivers. Adjusting the arrow and calling the hawk, all of them are out of this world. Rushing fox will rush the pheasants, sweeping the ancient hills. 7 leaves of the pavilion, empty and clear in a corner. He is inscribed in the Chilan pavilion, only he is not famous. Along with the sound of the bugle horn that made people's blood boil, many large inscriptions fluttered in the air, and within those scarlet clouds, there was an awe-inspiring aura that came crashing down, condensing in front of these inscriptions. In just a short moment, blood-red warhorses were born. Not only that, the inscriptions flew high into the sky, condensing into a poem. Between each line of the poem, an awe-inspiring aura surged and overflowed, similarly condensing into several zhang-long spears. A chill, a smell of blood emerged from the warhorses that were about to gallop, pouncing towards Xiaohua amidst the forest of sharp spears. He he. Xiaohua laughed, and said in a long voice, "It is often said that Confucian cultivators do not change their names, nor do they change their surnames. Now, this Xiao has already been standing here for a long time, and not a single person has shown themselves. This kind of shady behavior, what qualifications do you have to dare fight with this Xiao?" Humph. A Daoist remnant, unexpectedly speaking such arrogant words. A voice that was even louder than the sound of the bugle horn came from the blood-red warhorse. As soon as this voice came out, all the clouds rolled back, and then a celestial that seemed to be wearing blood-red armor slowly appeared from the void. This celestial was more than 200 feet tall, with a thin face, a hook-like nose, and a pair of eyes that flashed with a cold light. Looking from a distance, this person was wrapped in a Confucian robe embroidered with mountain and river patterns. Various mountain peaks and great rivers were faintly discernible on the Confucian robe. That dignified and vigorous aura was emitted from the Confucian robe, and outside the Confucian robe was a battle armor that protected his chest and back. The battle armor was like a baihan, with countless flashing inscriptions covering the celestial's chest and back, and a fierce beast head with a sharp horn on its head protecting the celestial's abdomen. Under the blood-red brilliance, countless strange runes flowed out from the battle armor, spreading along the torso to the celestial's limbs. Every time these runes flowed, countless small noble chi would be produced from the void, condensing into a spiral shape and falling on the celestial's skin. Looking at the celestial's hand again, it was holding a long spear. The spear was pitch black, without any luster, and the tip of the spear was without a sharp edge. It looked quite unfortunate. Who are you? The corner of Xiao Hua's mouth rose slightly as he looked up at the giant flying over on a red cloud in the distance. Who are you? The giant shouted, since you're in front of the battle, how dare you not report your name? With the giant's roar, a murderous aura rushed toward Xiao Hua from all directions. Asking without answering is rude. Speaking with a fierce voice is losing your mind. How can someone as disrespectful as you be a match for this Xiao? Xiao Hua laughed, his whole body flashing with golden light. With a wave of his hand, the wishful steel staff appeared from the space. His whole body slowly grew, and the wishful steel staff also grew. When it was about 200 feet long, Xiao Hua shouted, shaking the sky. Daoist Xiao Hua is here, who dares to fight? Xiao Hua's aura was like a rainbow, and the pressure of a nascent soul cultivator soared into the sky. Not only did it push back the clouds in the sky, but it also rushed toward the giant like an avalanche. This old man is the state preceptor of the Bronze Pillar State, Lingqinga. I've come specially to deal with you, a remnant of the Dao sect. Lingqinga also let out a loud roar and slapped his forehead. A golden light flashed above his head and a golden spear flew out, forcefully blocking Xiao Hua's oppressive aura. Good. Lingqinga, let this Xiao see if you are qualified to fight with this Xiao. Xiao Hua didn't say anything else. He waved the wishful steel staff and flew toward Lingqinga. But before he could fly closer, Lingqinga's words almost made him faint from anger. Lingqinga swung his spear and retreated, coldly shouting, "This old man is the teacher of a state, how can I lower myself to fight with you? Let this old man see, if you are qualified to fight with this old man." Damn it! Xiao Hua was furious. He abandoned the flying technique and lightning flashed around his body. He wanted to use the Imperial Thunder Guard, but the lightning was annihilated as soon as it appeared. There was no lightning in the Confucian cultivator's array. Seeing Xiao Hua angry, Lingqinga laughed and chanted, "At night, I lie down and listen to the wind and rain. Iron horses and ice rivers enter my dreams. Generals, kill for this old man." Lingqinga chanted word by word. Pillars of qi that penetrated the heavens and the earth were born from the 5 brocade cloud diagram and suddenly rushed toward Xiao Hua. Following the command, the thousands of roaring blood-red horses behind Lingqinga broke free of their reins. At first, they were only the size of an ordinary horse, but when they rushed in front of Xiao Hua, they were dozens of feet long. They didn't seem to be inferior to Xiao Hua's Dharma body. Moreover, the momentum of the thousands of galloping horses cleansed Xiao Hua's nascent soul aura. What was special was that the thousands of galloping horses raised thousands of pillars of qi. These pillars of qi not only rushed to the sky, but also blasted toward the Black Cloud Mountain. The mountain that was originally filled with black clouds was instantly cleared. The pillars of qi hit the mountain peak, causing the mountain rocks to burst, trees to collapse, and the only river to be cut off. Chapter 35:13. Good, good, good. Xiao Hua's eyes flashed fiercely, and the staff in his hand became thicker and bigger. I will let you know who is the real hero of this world. I will kill all your men. Let's see what else you can rely on to fight me. As he spoke, he waved the wishful steel staff, and the pillar of great spirit that was heading towards Xiaohua was immediately smashed into pieces. Although Xiaohua's figure was huge, he was also very flexible. He did not resist the power of the great spirit pillar. Instead, he borrowed the power of the great spirit pillar. His figure flashed and he kicked the warhorse that was rushing towards him. Pung! There was a loud sound and the warhorse instantly turned into a red mist and dissipated in midair. Humph! Seeing Xiaohua so brave, Xianxia snorted. You are just a child of the Dao sect. How can you be the enemy of my country? When you are exhausted, won't your bones become soft and your tendons become numb? How can you be my opponent? Boom boom. Pillars of Aoran Chi were either half a foot in size or tens of feet in size. They all fell from the clouds in the sky, carrying an unconcealable heroic momentum. They wanted to kill Xiaohua, but Xiaohua held the wishful steel staff in his hand and moved through the pillars of Aoran Chi with ease. The pillars of Aoran Chi turned the entire black cloud ridge red, but Xiaohua was still unharmed. The blood-red warhorse was indeed as strong as an iron horse, but in front of Xiaohua, who was like a god, it was really fragile. Not only did the iron horse collapse under the punches and kicks, but when Xiaohua's wishful staff touched it, the iron horse also turned invisible. It seemed that Xiaohua was the nemesis of these iron horses. Breaking into the array was like a wolf in a flock of sheep, invincible. Ha ha ha. Beigo Zhenming, who was high up in the clouds, laughed. He pointed at the tens of thousands of horses and said to Dou Shanjun, as you can see, the militarists have always relied on the power of the army. When they saw that a little cultivator from Dao's sect had good martial arts, they had no way to deal with him. It is really a disgrace to the face of the Confucian cultivators. Dou Shanjun knew that the dean of his academy and the imperial preceptor were not on good terms, so he just smiled and did not say much. Suddenly, Dou Shanjun's expression changed slightly. He said in a low voice, Lord Chief, the imperial tutor seems to be using the golden dagger axe. Moreover, it seems like the immortal slaying crossbow and the god slaying bow are hidden in this golden dagger axe. How insidious. There's falsehood in reality, and falsehood in falsehood. This is called trickery, and it's the way of the military. Beigo Zhenming sneered. Didn't he rely on this to become the state preceptor? Sure enough, as soon as Beigo Zhenming's words fell, thousands of golden spears emerged from the clouds in all directions, like a swarm of locusts flying towards Xiaohua. So noisy. Xiaohua shouted, don't you have any real methods? Just these little tricks to scratch this Zhao's itch, what does that count as? As he spoke, Xiaohua didn't seem to care about these golden spears. He strode forward like a wolf in a flock of sheep and continued to chase after Xianxia. It can't be. Dou Shanjun was dumbfounded. He raised his hand and said, This Xiaohua actually didn't block the golden dagger axe arrow array? Beigo Zhenming also frowned and said in a low voice, Daoist cultivators have a protective golden light. This Xiaohua's cultivation is at the 4th level of origin energy. I'm afraid he can block the golden dagger axe arrow array. But the immortal slaying crossbow and the god slaying bow are precisely used to strangle the Daoist golden dagger axe arrow array. Dou Shanjun was puzzled. Beigo Zhenming looked up and down at Dou Shanjun and said with a smile, Shanjun, you know these secrets, but Xiaohua doesn't. Dou Shanjun shook his head slightly. The interest in his eyes was even stronger. He felt that Xiaohua was definitely not as simple as the chief said. Sure enough, pa. Like rain hitting banana leaves, hundreds of golden dagger axes densely hit Xiaohua's golden body. The other thousands of golden dagger axes brushed past Xiaohua's golden body and pierced into the black cloud ridge. Rumble. Bursts of intense sounds came from the mountain ridge. The mountain ridge that was trampled beyond recognition by the iron horse array was now ravaged again. The mountain peak collapsed, the mountain rocks were shattered, and smoke and dust flew in all directions. One could see the power of these golden dagger axes. However, these golden dagger axes that pierced Xiao Hua's golden body were barely satisfactory. These golden dagger axes were really like raindrops. They only made Xiao Hua's golden body tremble slightly and then slid down from the golden body. They were basically unable to pose any threat to Xiao Hua's golden body. Pa pa pa. Under Xiao Hua's disregard, another wave of golden dagger axes fell down. This time, Xiao Hua slightly raised his eyebrows as if he was aware of the abnormality. However, he still ignored it and allowed the golden dagger axes mixed with the execution crossbow and the god-slaying bow to land on his body. Needless to say, the golden dagger axes were still useless. However, the execution crossbow and the god-slaying bow were different. When the crossbow pierced Xiao Hua's golden body, thousands of inscriptions swarmed out and flashed with an intense light. They quickly tore apart the golden light of the golden body. A whirlwind that was sharper than a sharp awl emerged from the void and pierced Xiao Hua's golden body. Especially, the inscriptions on the god-slaying bow covered the golden body and annihilated the golden light. Although Xiao Hua had concealed his cultivation base to the nascent soul stage in order to not attract the special attention of the scholarly cultivators, after 100 rounds, Lingxinga no longer dared to use his Damascus steel spear against Xiao Hua's wishful steel staff. After another 10 or so exchanges, Lingxinga was already stretched thin. Although Xiao Hua did not use any kind of confinement technique, Lingxinga felt that his hands and feet were bound, and it was difficult for him to display even 50% of his martial skills. Lingxinga was a little anxious in his heart. Thinking back to what he said before, Xiao Hua really did rely on his own strength to resist the power of the bronze pillar state. If he continued to fight with him, he might really fall here. Thinking of this, Lingxinga didn't hesitate to clap his hands. Boom! Golden light flashed above Lingxinga's head, and the golden dagger axe that he had previously stored in his body rushed out again. A golden light suddenly appeared, and thousands of boundless qi followed the golden light and blasted towards Xiao Hua. Moreover, where the golden dagger axe was, there was a piercing sharpness that seemed to be able to pierce through the sky and directly into Xiao Hua's body. Ha ha ha. Xiao Hua was overjoyed. Seeing the blood-red color around Lingxinga's body gradually disappear, and the bronze light around him flourished, how could he not know that Lingxinga was about to use some kind of sword technique? Xiao Hua laughed and clapped his hands. He simply gave up on the power of the flying sword and stretched out his nascent soul hand. He didn't digest it into a hand that was several mu in size, but only a few hundred feet in size. It firmly trapped the golden dagger axe. No matter how red Lingxinga's face was, he couldn't move the golden dagger axe forward even half an inch. Just as Lingxinga was about to be defeated by Xiao Hua, a layer of blue cloud brocade fell from the sky like a rainbow, falling right in front of Xiao Hua's nascent soul hand. From the brocade, thousands of wind, fire, and mountains rushed out to block Xiao Hua's path. A gust of wind mixed with a clamorous sound rushed out from the book and rushed towards Xiao Hua. Ha! Isn't this the method of my Daoist? You actually dare to show off in front of this Xiao. Xiao Hua saw the hurricane coming and laughed loudly. He rubbed his hands, and rays of light flashed. In front of Xiao Hua, 100 feet tall yellow earth shield blocked the hurricane. Woo! Woo! Bursts of wind like the wailing of ghosts and howling of wolves collided with the earth shield. The earth shield flashed with a faint brilliance, blocking the hurricane without any difficulty. However, Xiao Hua, who was behind the earth shield, felt a little strange because the earth shield did not block all of the hurricane. Some of the wind still passed through the earth shield and blew on Xiao Hua's body. At first, Xiao Hua did not care, but as the impact of the hurricane became stronger, the earth shield's brilliance flashed rapidly, and the wind blowing on Xiao Hua's body also became stronger. In particular, the woo-woo wind was mixed with a strange sound. At this time, Xiao Hua already understood that it was actually some common words. These words were clearly some inscriptions that Xiao Hua did not understand, but Xiao Hua's heart became more and more agitated with this sound. As his agitation became more and more intense, a kind of bone-softening and numbing feeling came from the golden body. Xiao Hua was shocked. He understood in his heart that his transcendence golden body was not simple. It was different from the transcendence golden body of the Buddhist sect. It was based on his physical body and was displayed using the heavenly laws embodiment of heaven and earth technique. Xiao Hua was confident that this golden body could not be damaged by an ordinary flying sword. How could it be damaged by a simple hurricane? Boom! Just as Xiao Hua was shocked, the earth shield that was as hard as iron and stone was destroyed by the hurricane. The wind whistled and drowned Xiao Hua's golden body in an overwhelming manner. In an instant, thousands of noises, groans, curses, whispers, and all kinds of sounds fell into Xiao Hua's ears. They entered both his ears and his heart. A kind of unconcealable agitation arose in Xiao Hua's heart. This agitation made Xiao Hua scratch his ears and his cheeks, not knowing what to do. The hurricane that blew away the earth's shield fell on Xiao Hua's golden body. Wisps of wind turned into inscriptions that were so fine that they could not be heard. Along with the fluctuation of Xiao Hua's mood, they rushed into the golden body with this agitation. Boom! In just a moment, Xiao Hua's golden body showed signs of collapsing. The surface began to scatter, rumble. Xiao Hua was very anxious. A green light suddenly appeared between his eyebrows. The lightning flash and thunder roll technique was used. Layer after layer of lightning covered Xiao Hua's golden body. The inscriptions that came in contact with the green seal text immediately disappeared into nothingness. The thousands of noises were also covered by the lightning at this time. As soon as the noises and the hurricane disappeared, Xiao Hua's golden body immediately stabilized. His heart also became clear. Granny, what kind of hurricane is this? What is this sound? Why is it so strange? Xiao Hua took advantage of this gap to think quickly. Why am I so agitated? Humph. While Xiao Hua was thinking, the coverage of the lightning flash and thunder roll technique increased. Not only did it cover the 4 books, but it also covered the Z book statue. These books and book statues all melted under the green seal text. However, these books were different from the ones in the Copper Pillar Academy. The green inscriptions between the clouds seemed to be endless. The amount of green seal text that melted was immediately replenished by the clouds. The speed was several times faster than the green seal text. Seeing this, Xiao Hua finally understood Jiang Yuming's plan. He was now trapped in the formation. No matter how many green seal text characters there were, they couldn't compare to this Confucian cultivator's defensive formation. Their Z naturally wasn't afraid of being destroyed. It seems that if I don't understand why this hurricane is making me agitated, I'm afraid it won't be easy to get out of this situation. Xiao Hua frowned slightly. In his mind, he recalled the reason why he was agitated just now. Wasn't it because of those noises? Thinking of this, Xiao Hua closed his ears. However, even if he couldn't hear those noises, they still drilled into Xiao Hua's heart like little insects. It was like a shrew cursing in the street. Even if you didn't want to hear it, those unpleasant words still fell into your ears and even attracted your attention. Gossips? Rumors and groundless gossip? Suddenly, Xiao Hua seemed to understand something. He thought to himself, these Confucian cultivators use words to establish their divine abilities. How can their wind be the same as the Daoist sect's wind? This wind is made up of words and carries a kind of awe-inspiring aura. The power is only on the surface, the words are still in the bones. These words move people's hearts. Xinxin once said that the 5 Qis unification is to cultivate the 5 viscera and 6 bowels. Isn't this Confucian cultivator's secret offensive technique the 5 Qis? The Confucian cultivator's wind is more focused on attacking the heart. As long as the Daoist sect's cultivator's Dao heart isn't pure and hasn't broken free from the bonds of the mortal world, they'll definitely fall into their trap. Confucian cultivators, oh Confucian cultivators, they're really scheming. Ha ha ha. Thinking of this, Xiaohua laughed and sang, "My heart is clear, my will is righteous, I wish my heart to face heaven and earth, why should I be afraid of others' rumors? My body is stone, my body is gold, I wish my body to stand in heaven and earth, I'm not afraid of others' rumors. My heart can accommodate heaven and earth, all things in heaven and earth are in my thoughts, my body can accept glory, my liver and gallbladder can be bright." Along with Xiaohua's laughter, the sound of lightning and thunder stopped. The Buddha's relics in Xiaohua's Naiwan palace formed the Akala seal and sat upright. In his middle dantian, the three-colored heavenly heart protected his 5 viscera and 6 bowels and slowly rotated. The nascent soul in his lower dantian also calmly cultivated. It was like he was strong, he was strong, he was strong, he was strong. It was also strange. Xiaohua's thoughts were clear and he wasn't afraid of 100 disasters. Although the wind was fierce and the rumors still entered his ears, Xiaohua didn't listen to them. He was like an indomitable man, he was independent and couldn't be shaken by the so-called rumors and rumors. His heart was calm and his body was firm. The hundreds of millions of inscriptions attacked Xiaohua's golden body. The golden body's light alternated between bright and dark without any signs of dimming. Instead, the golden light became more and more tenacious, as if Xiaohua was tempering his body. Hiss! How is this possible? High up in the sky, the heads of the Jiang family's children appeared with true energy to support the child, in midair. When they saw Xiaohua actually break the wind formation in such a short time, they were all stupefied. The most powerful element of the Jiang families, wind, forest, fire, and mountain, was the wind. Who knew how many cultivators couldn't see through this, rumors and slanders, and their mental state was destroyed by the waves. Words could kill people, but those that could kill themselves were just slanders. If one's mental state wasn't really bright and wasn't hurt by the world's rumors, who could escape this heart-destroying wind? Xiaohua was actually able to stand in the face of the wind. It was really too inconceivable. Xiaohua hurriedly rubbed his hands, and several rays of light appeared. Layers of imprisonment appeared in the space near the golden body. However, the flames seemed to be formless, and simply ignored the imprisonment, and fell down with a whoosh. Moreover, what made Xiaohua shocked was that the closer the flame got to him, the faster it flew towards him. Especially when the flame passed through the imprisonment, it almost instantly rushed into his golden body. What made Xiaohua lose his head out of fear was that after the first wisp of flames entered his golden body, the second wisp, the third wisp, and even more wisps of flames were like 100 birds returning to their nest. In an instant, they crossed the space barrier and rushed into Xiaohua's golden body. Good. An old scholar behind Jiang Yuming clapped his hands and said with a smile, "Great success, this child is crippled." Jiang Yuming's heart clearly relaxed. He naturally knew how powerful the heart fire of the wind forest fire mountain was. This fire looked like fire, but in reality, it was not fire. It was the fire in the cultivator's heart. All magic power and divine abilities were useless against it. If one could not stop the heart fire before it entered the heart, as long as the heart fire entered the body, it would ignite the fire in the cultivator's heart. It would burn from the inside out. Even a 9th grade essence power would not be able to escape. Unfortunately, just as Jiang Yuming's heart relaxed, he saw the flames filling the sky instantly turn into fireflies and rush into Xiaohua's golden body. Xiaohua was flustered, as if he wanted to use some divine ability to stop it, but unfortunately, not even a wisp of flame could stop it. However, all the flames that entered Xiaohua's body did not give birth to heart fire. The internal burning fire that Jiang Yuming and the others were hoping for did not appear. Even Xiaohua himself lowered his head and looked at his golden body in confusion. This. What's going on now? Jiang Yuming and the others were dumbfounded. After a moment, Xiaohua seemed to have realized something. He looked up to the sky and laughed. Jiang Yuming, your Jiang family has gone against the tide and harmed the common people. Now, even the heavens are not helping you. Just wait and wash your necks. Let me chop off your heads. How is this possible? An old scholar was trembling all over. He did not dare to believe his eyes. Now that things have come to this, what else can we say? Jiang Yuming had already regained his composure. He said in a low voice, "Let's see the last mountain array." All right, that old scholar also gritted his teeth. I don't believe that this child can resist the 100 seedlings by himself. As he spoke, the green sea of clouds rolled again. That child raised his hand, and the last scroll opened. The smile on Xiao Hua's face did not fade. He did not know the origin of the heart fire, but when his mind fell on his middle dantian, he saw that the crimson heart of the heavens was unusually dazzling. Many flames that rushed into his golden body disappeared after entering it. He already understood that this fire was the fire of the heart and lungs. It was one of the 5 elements. Rather than saying that the flames that filled the sky fell into his golden body because of the power of the array, it was more accurate to say that they were attracted by the crimson heart of the heavens. If he had not obtained the heart of the heavens, he was afraid that there would be some trouble. Let's see what the 4th scroll is. Xiao Hua was full of confidence. He raised his head and looked at the sky. When the last scroll opened, the entire sky was shaking. Whether it was the wind or the forest, they all disappeared and turned into specks of fireflies. Endless chi of righteousness crisscrossed the entire space. Inside the scroll, an inscription the size of a thumb appeared. They knew that Xiao Hua was a body cultivator, but they never thought that a cultivator could cultivate his strength to such a level. The wind, forest, fire, and fire scattered. The Jiang family of the Bronze Pillar country was completely defeated. In the future, if there is another battle like this, don't look for me. Hee, fairy is too sentimental. Ling Chinga's figure had already recovered. He looked like a handsome old man. He didn't come forward and just laughed from afar. This child is a remnant of the Dao sect. You saw it just now. His methods are powerful. This old man and the Jiang family are not his opponents. If you don't subdue him, I'm afraid the people of the hidden immortal continent will be plunged into misery and suffering again. Today's battle is a great merit and should be rewarded by the country's monarch for getting rid of a scourge for us Confucian cultivators. Unfortunately, before he finished speaking, Bai Ho Yuqin waved her hand. Clang clang. 2 sounds of zither rang out. The woman coldly said, "Young Master Leng's heart has long lost its rhythm. Now, only killing is left. Young Master's state of mind is no longer the same as before. You can only see the blood on this child, but you can't see the tenderness in this child's heart. This kind of cultivator who is aware of the illusion, whose heart is as clear as a mirror, but who is unwilling to erase the thoughts in his heart, how can he set off endless killing? In my opinion, if we didn't force him, he might not have fought. Forget it, forget it." Ling Qingge didn't want to argue with Bai Ho Yuqin. Hearing this, he waved his hand and laughed. Who cares if he is gentle or not? I don't care if he can set off 1,000 feet sea of blood. We only need to capture him and send him to the front of the palace. The country's monarch will deal with him. But at this moment, a faint voice sounded again. Who can bring this Xiao to the front of the palace? Ling Qingge, is that you? Why don't you come in front of this Xiao? Are you afraid that this Xiao will kill you on the spot? Ling Qingge turned pale with fright and said anxiously, You. Only the one in front of him with a simple face, wearing a scholar's robe, Xiaohua knew that he must be the Copper Pillar Academy's headmaster. Dao Sec's Xiaohua greets headmaster. He still respected this headmaster who didn't desperately try to kill him that day. After the gray cloud settled, Xiaohua extended his hand and cupped his hands in greeting. Beigo Zhenming also didn't dare to be negligent, and similarly stood on the cloud and bowed in greeting. Copper Pillar Academy's Beigo Zhenming greets fellow immortal Xiao. Oh, so it's Headmaster Beigo. Xiaohua stared blankly, and blinked his eyes. You Confucian cultivators' names are quite strange. Previously there was a Baiho, and now there's a Beigo. Aren't you looking down on this Xiao's ignorance? He. Hearing Xiaohua's words, Beigo Zhenming's heart relaxed, and he said with a smile, us Confucian cultivators have multiplied in the hidden immortal continent for who knows how many years. Whether it's a compound surname or a single surname, they all have a very long history. In ancient times, there were compound surnames such as Feng Lei, Feng Jiang, Feng Ren, Feng Fu, Fu Fu, Fu Fu, and so on. However, as the descendants of these compound surnames disappeared, the compound surnames also disappeared. Now, I'm afraid there aren't many left. Ouyang, Taisher, Duanmu, Shengguan, and so on still exist. Duanmu? I'm afraid the ones left behind are all Confucian cultivator families. Hearing the two words Duanmu, Xiaohua said with a smile. Beigo Zhenming nodded and said, my Beigo family can also be considered a 7th-rank family, and can't be compared to the Duanmu family. Xiaohua nodded, and pulled the topic back. Previously, this Xiao didn't see fellow immortal Beigo's true appearance, but now that I've seen it, it's exactly the solemnity of a Confucian cultivator. It can't be mentioned in the same breath as a certain person's handsomeness. It's no wonder that fellow immortal Beigo can become the headmaster of an academy, while others can only be the headmaster. Chapter 35:19. I wouldn't dare. Beigo Zhenming seemed to have seen through Xiaohua's narrow-mindedness and understood that he was referring to Dou Shanjun. He shook his head and hurriedly replied. Then, Xiaohua continued, also, I would like to thank fellow immortal Beigo for not blaming me for the offense of pushing down the gate. This. Beigo Zhenming smiled bitterly. Fellow immortal Beigo doesn't need to thank me. I came here today to punish you, but seeing how mighty you are, how could I dare to say a word? I only hope that fellow immortal Beigo won't make things difficult for the students of my Copper Pillar Academy after you escape from this formation. Every injustice has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. I understand this. Xiaohua smiled coldly, his gaze sweeping across the clouds like a sharp sword. If I don't kill those culprits, I don't mind staining my hands with blood again. Yes, I understand. I'm sure the others also understand this. Beigo Zhenming nodded and said, today, I was ordered by the monarch to set up the 5 brocade cloud painting because I wanted to meet fellow immortal Beigo and let others know how powerful fellow immortal Beigo is. Good. Xiaohua flung his sleeve. You all set up the formation. I didn't get to fight to my heart's content in the Copper Pillar Academy. Today, I'll have a taste of fellow immortal Beigo's techniques. I wouldn't dare. The techniques we use are for worldly affairs. Fellow immortal Beigo, please be careful. Beigo Zhenming cautioned very carefully. I know. Go ahead and use it. Xiaohua smiled faintly and waved his hand. The seal of overturning the sea rushed out of the space with a rumbling sound and blocked Xiaohua's body in an earthy yellow brilliance. Just as Beigo Zhenming and Xiaohua greeted each other, the gray cloud brocade had already covered the entire formation. What was different from the previous formations was that the ground beneath everyone's feet was also gray, as if it was an ordinary layer of earth. Xiaohua's gaze swept over it and immediately understood that this 5 brocade cloud painting was probably related to the 5 elements. Now, it could be considered as earth. Sure enough, Beigo Zhenming stood on top of the gray cloud and raised his hand. The tall crown fell off, and a head of gray hair fell down. Dou Shanjun, who was standing behind him a moment ago, had already hidden behind the brocade cloud. Moreover, a moment later, he appeared in another place. Beigo Zhenming's voice. Meng Sheshi surges, lush greenery. My grief is forever mourning, and I gurgled into the southern soil. Kong Jing was humorous. Depressed and depressed, he bowed deeply. To soothe the feelings and serve one's will, to restrain one's grievances. Just when I thought I was going to make amends, I didn't do it for you. As Beigo Zhenming's voice drifted through the entire space, the sky instantly darkened, and the earth fell silent. It was as if rain had descended from the void, but also as if there was a sorrowful noble chi gathered from all directions. A great river and the boundless black land on both sides of the river appeared before their eyes. Haha. Although Xiao Hua could sense Beigo Zhenming's concern for the country and its people, and he could also understand the bitterness in his words, Xiao Hua didn't feel anything special. He only smiled and sensed a very strong earth-type spiritual energy from the righteous chi. The greenish-gray brocade began to solidify into a solid layer of earth. At this moment, Do Shanjun opened his mouth again. To the north of the mountain, the words of the chi are chosen. Together with scholars, they work day and night. The imperial affairs are dispirited, and I worry about my parents. Under the heavens, all is the imperial land. On the shores of the earth, all are the imperial subjects. The doctors are unequal, and I work alone. Xiao Hua's voice was like the sound of the sword coming out from the giant sword, resounding throughout the entire array. The ruler is the head of the country. The ruler is wise and the country flourishes. The ruler is weak and the country is weak. The great hero is for the country and the people. The small hero is chivalrous and righteous. Although it is the ruler's order, no one dares to disobey. But I turned my body into a sword and asked for the people's order. The ruler is wise and the ruler is weak and the country is destroyed. Since you are the ruler, you should have the world in your heart, and the sea accepts hundreds of rivers. Today's ruler, for his own selfishness, I have a benevolent heart and want to turn the tide. I will kill you, and return the world to peace and prosperity. Kill. As he spoke, the giant sword turned into the shape of a heart and soared into the sky from the confinement. Moreover, the sword light was more dazzling than a rainbow piercing the sun. It easily streaked through the array, and a huge crack appeared in the gray cloud brocade. The entire blue sky and the earth under their feet cracked open, and the thousands of incantations stopped abruptly. Beigo Zhenming's face was ashen. Facing Xiao Hua's sword attack, he was confident that he didn't have the ability to take it. Moreover, Xiao Hua was able to defeat him as a Confucian cultivator. He was also speechless. Looking up at the equally shocked Do Shanjun, both of them sighed softly. They stretched out their hands, and gray cloud brocade appeared. Their figures slowly disappeared. The sword light was like a horse, and the sword intent was like a heart. When Xiao Hua escaped from the sword, thousands of sword lights entered his body. Xiao Hua raised his eyebrows and looked at the sky that was already empty. He smiled and said, Lengqinga, this Xiao has already broken through 5 layers of the 5 brocade cloud diagram. Do you have any other tricks? Xiao Hua, I have to say, this old man has really underestimated you. Lengqinga's figure was now only about 10 feet tall. He stood in the sky to the east and said indifferently, however, if you think that the 5 brocade cloud diagram only has this much power, then you have underestimated the defensive array of my Confucian cultivator. Chapter 35-24. When the majestic five-dragon imperial jade seal arrived above the heads of the five sons, the imperial jade seal slightly paused. In an instant, a golden light fell on top of the imperial jade seal. This golden light gave birth to several glittering golden words under the imperial jade seal. It was precisely, "Receive the mandate of heaven, live forever and prosper." At the same time, a kind of valiant aura more turbulent than monstrous waves seeped out from these golden words. In an instant, the entire five-brocade cloud diagram array was shrouded. When the five sons become one, you will become the son of heaven. A dignified voice came from an unknown son. Thus, the five sons slowly flew to the five-dragon imperial jade seal. The five sons stretched out their hands. Immediately, an overflowing inscription flowed out from the five sons and blended with each other. Rumble. Hundreds of tiny thunderbolts appeared in the void. Lightning and tiny crystal threads flashed around the five sons and slowly overlapped with each other. Oh! As if it came from the throat, a 300-meter-tall giant's face and figure blurred appeared. After the giant made a sound, it stretched out its hand and held the golden five-dragon imperial jade seal in the air. In an instant, the giant's hand emitted a golden brilliance. This brilliance dyed the giant's body in a moment. Then, a son of heaven wearing an imperial robe and a tall crown was born in the air. At the same time, the son of heaven's tightly closed eyes also opened. A dignified gaze swept across the entire array. An aura even more ruthless than the imperial jade seal swept through the entire space. Damn it! The son of heaven's gaze fell on Xiaohua's body and coldly said. As if the son of heaven's mouth was not joking, a cold and awe-inspiring aura rushed out of the void along with the monarch's words. One after another, miserable scenes of being beheaded appeared from this awe-inspiring aura. One scene after another, the faint smell of blood and faint screams suddenly appeared. Damn it! Xiaohua sneered. Light and shadow appeared around his body again. The Dharma idol grew bigger and bigger. It actually also grew to a full 300-meter tall. It was not inferior to the Son of Heaven. He shouted, "My life is in my hands. It can be in the sky, it can also be on the earth, but it will not be in thy hands." Ha ha ha. What do thou know? All the lands within the four seas belong to the king, and all the lands are the king's subjects. The Son of Heaven coldly sneered, "I have received orders from the heavens to bring peace to the world. You are but a mere commoner, yet you dare to try and stop me? Today, I will let you witness the might of the Son of Heaven." The Son of Heaven's voice was like thunder, deafening and resonating between heaven and earth. While speaking, the Son of Heaven raised his hand and the five-dragon imperial jade seal flashed with light that soared into the sky and fell towards Xiaohua. The five-dragon imperial jade seal flew into the sky. 5 dragons flew out from the seal and turned into heavenly dragons that were dozens of feet long. They landed below the seal as if they were driving a carriage. Although the imperial jade seal did not change and was still the same as before, the imperial jade seal's brilliance surpassed that of the heavenly dragons. Even the 5 heavenly dragons, which were hundreds of feet long, could not block the imperial jade seal. What was special was that when the 5 dragons held the imperial jade seal once again emitted a yellow light. This light rushed into the 5 dragons and they roared in the sky. An unparalleled imperial power descended from the sky. My world is where I control fate. Under my imperial power, gods and demons can be destroyed. The Son of Heaven roared. Who would dare to challenge him? Xiaohua returned to his original form. His body flashed with golden light, covering all his injuries. Only then did he land in front of the Black Wind Ridge. At this time, the Black Wind Ridge was no longer the Black Wind Ridge of the past. Not to mention the Black Wind Ridge, even the entire Black Cloud Ridge had completely changed. Not only did the 5 brocade cloud paintings Grand Chi blow away all the black clouds, it even caused the majority of the mountain peaks to collapse. There were even more mountain springs and hills that appeared out of thin air. Xiao Hua's divine sense swept across. The entire Black Cloud Ridge was in a mess, as if thousands of indomitable giants had stepped over here. Looks like the ruler of the Bronze Pillar Nation is already confident. After the annexation of the Jiang country, it will be the Jia Sa country's turn. This last bit of cover will be torn apart. Xiao Hua smiled faintly, he waved his hand, and a few rays of light flashed past. Rumble. With a few loud sounds, hundreds of rays of light flew out from all directions and landed in Xiao Hua's hands. The capital star formation was removed, revealing the Black Wind Ridge under the protection of the Great Formation. Although Xiao Hua's capital star formation was powerful, it was not complete after all. Furthermore, it was set up using hundreds of jade talismans, and under the attack of the 5 brocade cloud painting, which was equivalent to the Immortal Palace formation, it also revealed a flaw. A portion of the capital star formation was destroyed by the Grand Chi Pillar, and many spirit demons were killed or injured. These spirit demons were from the Black Wind Ridge, Mo Yun Ridge and Lion Mountain. The capital star formation did not block the vision of the crowd and the demons. Everyone could see Xiao Hua's majestic posture in the air. Compared to the fear of the people of the Bronze Pillar Nation, what they gained was confidence and pride. Chapter 35-30. Prime Minister's father, I suddenly have a bad feeling. Ing Hong said in a low voice, if the Immortal Palace can choose me, then the Dao sect. In other words, the power behind Xiao Hua, could it be that Xiao Hua wants to take advantage of the chaos? That's extremely possible. The Prime Minister's father nodded, however, the Dao sect is weak in my hidden immortal continent. We don't need to care about it, let's resolve the crisis in front of us first. Prime Minister, what's the plan? Ing Hong asked respectfully. The Prime Minister's father smiled as he looked at Ing Hong and said, this old official thought about it just now, and there should be a plan that can be said to kill 3 birds with 1 stone. I wonder if my king would like to hear it? Kill 3 birds with 1 stone? Ing Hong frowned, somewhat puzzled. This old official remembers that when the Jiang country was destroyed, Lang Qingge killed the Jiang country's imperial advisor, Qin Haoyue. Where is he imprisoned? The Prime Minister's father asked. It should be in the Jade Mountain dungeon. Ing Hong thought of something and his eyes lit up. This old official does not know about this. I believe that the remnants of the Jiang country and even the Daoist sect's Xiaohua do not know about this either. If Xiaohua wants to help Princess Ling restore the country, he must borrow the power of the Jiang country's original Daoist sect. Otherwise, he will have no reason to do so. The Prime Minister's father said calmly, my king can send an expert to guard the Jade Mountain and take the opportunity to capture Xiaohua. Ing Hong was distressed and sighed, Prime Minister's father, the problem is that the imperial advisor is unable to kill Xiaohua with the power of the 5 Qi Thunder, so I have no other methods to capture him. My Bronze Pillar country doesn't have it, but the hidden immortal continent does. The Prime Minister's father laughed, even if the Confucian cultivators don't have it, there are still the Buddhist sect and the Daoist sect. Moreover, Xiaohua took my Bronze Pillar state's 5-dragon imperial jade seal. According to what this old minister knows, this 5-dragon imperial jade seal is not an ordinary imperial jade seal. It was passed down from ancient times. That immortal palace's emissary is afraid that because my king has this 5-dragon imperial jade seal, he left behind the secret method of using dragon qi. I understand. Ing Hong's eyes narrowed, the Jiang country is a country founded by Dao cultivators, he does not have the qualifications to use this 5-dragon jade seal. I only need to spread the news, even if I cannot take back the 5-dragon jade seal, that Xiaohua will definitely be the enemy of all the Confucian cultivators in the hidden immortal continent. Yes, that's the second reason. The Prime Minister's father nodded. Moreover, according to what I know, there's a rule when Daoist sects establish a country. One must participate in the Yaotai assembly, pass a competition, and win the so-called imperial preceptor's lot. Only then can one have the opportunity to establish a country. This was also one of the methods that the Confucian cultivators used to control the Daoist sect. If Xiaohua wants to help the Jiang country recover and become the imperial advisor of the Jiang country, he must participate in this Jade Pavilion meeting. Since he wants to participate, then wouldn't my king have an opportunity to take advantage of it? Prime Minister, this doesn't seem to be killing 3 birds with 1 stone, does it? Ing Hong said with a smile, it's more like a cunning rabbit having 3 burrows. Ha ha ha, who cares if it's killing 3 birds with 1 stone, or if it's a cunning rabbit with 3 burrows, or if it's a 3-pronged plan, we just need to get rid of Xiaohua. Xiang Fu also laughed loudly. Xiaohua was truly surprised. He looked at Dou Shanjun in disbelief. What do you want that for? I'm sorry, I have no comment. Dou Shanjun shook his head in fear. If Daoist Master Xiao knows about this, it would be harmful. I'm sorry, I have a use for the 5 Qi Thunder. I'm afraid I can't give it to fellow immortal Dou. Xiaohua shook his head and replied. This time, it was Dou Shanjun's turn to be shocked. He looked at Xiaohua from head to toe and asked, what is it? Daoist Master Xiao. How did you discover the effects of the 5 Qi Thunder on the nascent soul stage in such a short period of time? Speaking to hear, Dou Shanjun rubbed his chin with his hand. and nodded with interest. Not bad, to be able to cultivate your nascent soul into a hidden nascent soul, and to be able to condense your nascent soul into a nebula. Your luck is not just a little bit better than others. Furthermore, to dare to release your nascent soul from the 5 brocade cloud map, your guts are enough for you to discover the secrets within. Do Shanjun, who exactly are you? Xiaohua could no longer sit still. He jumped up and placed his hand on the small universe bag, and asked cautiously. Sit down, sit down. You're already a nascent soul stage grandmaster, and your strength is comparable to a spirit-severing stage cultivator. Why are you still so rough? Do Shanjun raised his hand and laughed, as if he was talking to a junior. You don't have to care who I am, you just have to know that I won't hurt you. Do Shanjun was so fearless, and even sat here to negotiate with him. At least his attitude made Xiaohua feel amiable. If he really did have any ill intentions, why would Do Shanjun wait until now? Thinking to hear, Xiaohua sat down and said, I have a use for this item, I can't give it to fellow immortal Do. Alright, this item indeed has an inconceivable effect on condensing a nascent soul. Do Shanjun pondered for a moment, then nodded and said, then I won't take it from you. However, could Daoist Master Xiao let me take a look at it? This. Xiaohua was somewhat hesitant. After all, this item was extremely important to him, and Do Shanjun was an enemy, not a friend, who knew what he would do if he gave it to him. Do Shanjun's face turned cold, his expression somewhat unkind, and said indifferently, Xiaohua, you don't trust Ren so much? If I had a heart, why would I be so long-winded with you? As soon as Do Shanjun said this, Xiaohua's quiet room suddenly became as cold as winter. A kind of indescribable fear emerged in Xiaohua's heart. This was a kind of omen that Xiaohua couldn't resist against danger. Xiaohua was startled, then said with a smile, fellow immortal Do, you think too much. I was just thinking, this 5-chi legitimate thunder is so important, even the Bagua Academy didn't let fellow immortal Do know about it. Now I can't let fellow immortal Do see it for nothing, right? Ha ha ha. Do Shanjun laughed, thinking about how Xiaohua blackmailed by Hou Yuqin and the others on the Black Wind Ridge, and how he mercilessly took away Lang Chinga's Qingquan bag. How could Do Shanjun not know that Xiaohua wanted to obtain benefits from him? While laughing, the coldness in the quiet room disappeared. Do you want the Du Tian star formation or the method to refine jade talismans? Since Do Shanjun knew about Xiaohua's narrow-mindedness, he didn't beat around the bush and directly asked. Hee hee. Xiaohua beamed with joy, patted his small Qingquan bag, and took out the 5 silk handkerchiefs from his middle dantian, then said, fellow immortal Do should take a look at this 5-chi legitimate thunder first. What star formation, what jade talisman, it's easy to talk about. Hee hee. How could Do Shanjun not see through Xiaohua's little scheme? He only glanced at Xiaohua's smiling face, then took the silk handkerchiefs. With this kind of strength, I'm afraid he's at the 7th or 8th level of elemental energy. Do Shanjun stared at Xiaohua for a long time, seeing that Xiaohua's gaze was pure and didn't seem to be fake. He slightly nodded and said, Daoist Master Xiao, you are really greedy, ah. Hee hee, there are really too few high-level cultivation techniques in hidden immortal continent. I want to grab all the opportunities one can. Xiaohua laughed, looking very calm. Grab all the opportunities you can? Do Shanjun's eyes seemed to light up. He slightly nodded, you're right. I was too careful before. Of course, in hidden immortal continent, there are still too few cultivators like you who can suppress an entire country and whose strength can also reach the 5th level of elemental energy. Xiaohua stared blankly. He somewhat didn't understand what Do Shanjun said. He didn't even know what he said wrong. Seeing Xiaohua in a daze, Do Shanjun slightly smiled. He took out a jade eye scroll and handed it to Xiaohua. Oh, this is the cultivation technique you want. But I only have cultivation techniques before the Mahayana stage. I don't have anything else. Ah. Xiaohua was really overjoyed. He stretched out his hand and wanted to grab it faster than lightning. Unfortunately, Dou Shanjun was still a bit faster than him. He withdrew his hand and laughed. Daoist Master Xiao, don't be anxious, I still have something to say. Hee hee, Xiao Hua's face was a bit hot. He laughed embarrassedly and said, isn't Daoist Dou making fun of me? You already said you want to give it to me. It's not that I don't want to give it, it's that I want to discuss a cooperation with Daoist Master Xiao. Dou Shanjun's expression became indifferent again. He said, I wonder if Daoist Master Xiao is willing. I'm not willing. Xiao Hua decisively shook his head and replied. Why? Why didn't Daoist Master listen to what the matter is and immediately refused? Dou Shanjun felt very strange.